What is up, guys? What is up? What is up? What is up? What is up?
Listen, folks, I know there's a history here. I'd like to get this hearing in today. You know, everybody needs to just focus on the relevant facts, okay? I know there's a history here.
Are you talking up by Sunset Mart? Up the hill by the gas station?
Yeah.
Okay. Why did you?
Hello. Come on, let's go. Idaho4, where you been? Where you be at?
All right. Who's responsible here?
For ya.
Who's responsible here? Whose house is this? Yeah. Have been drinking or anything, right?
No.
Okay. Drive careful, okay?
Thank you.
This is what the other group had that ran away.
Oh, really? You just ditched it? Awesome.
Yeah, those ones kept walking in the car. And the other one.
It's truly for the win.
Oh shit.
There was two different discs.
Too legit.
Okay, they all knew about it.
They all knew about it. For Lana Bell interviewing Howard Bloom on Sunday. Lana's always
We're not here to talk about the alcohol stuff, okay?
Okay, yeah.
But this is the second noise complaint we've had
Here's
here tonight
mofos.
within 2 hours.
How are you?
Good, how are you?
Good. Is this your place?
Yeah.
Perfect. You know why we're here?
And I see noise.
Noise, yeah.
Yeah.
Big speaker right there.
Yeah.
Nothing against having a party. Once neighbors start calling in, then we have an issue.
Like brains, and like if you need a lot of brains, you're gonna be
in trouble, bitch. Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, depending on where you're at. What is up? What is up? What is up? Let's talk about it. I'm gonna bring in Hector the projector here, and we're gonna go a little something like this. Gonna take us back to looking at let's see how I'm gonna do this. First of all, I'm gonna kill that beep. Oh, fucking beep. You guys are gonna believe this shit. You guys are gonna believe this. Here we go. This is Dustin Blaker's baby. You guys know all about those search warrants. But what is up, guys? How you doing? Good evening. We're gonna talk about AT&T. We got to talk about AT&T. We got to talk about. It's actually this warrant really, really captures the problems, how problematic this is for Payne and the rest of the Idahos. It's your fire alarm. They need new batteries. Can you believe it? I wish that was the case. Let's see. Here we go. We're going to go with this one. Damn. This has got to be big. Lana flipped her lid for this one. Yeah, something like that. All right, let's zoom in. How do I want to? Oh, there's Lana. Good evening, everybody. I was just going to come on in, come on in, come on in. You guys, Karen Reed case off the hook, right? Idaho4 case. It's going to be just as off the hook. All right. Lana, what's up with the Karen Reed show you still have up for tonight? I'm going to be actually do that. I'm going to do a late night show for that. So I've had a day, man. I had to get a bunch of crap done, and that's what caused all this delay. But this Sunday night, please join us. Bella is going to be interviewing none other than Howard Bloom. That's number one. That's a boom, boom, right by itself. So she's going to be interviewing Howard Bloom. You guys knew that Howard Bloom's writing a book and making a movie, right? Idaho4 case. Did you guys know that? If you guys didn't know it, now you know it. So what I want to talk about is, whoop, whoop. We're going to talk about AT&T. We're going to talk about how FUCK'd everybody is. But this is a search warrant that not many people know about. Okay. And this is the one that was used. So this is Dustin Blaker's. And if you get to the end, pretty much, I made myself known. So right here, first of all, Ann Taylor says, why did Vargas go and get the 700 block Indian Hill? Who does she know? Who'd she call? How did she pick that street, road? I mean, what's going on? So right there, a review of camera footage indicated that a white, sedan hereafter will be suspect vehicle 1 was observed traveling westbound in the 700 block of Indian Hill Drive in Moscow at approximately 3:26. But I've told you guys that that's really, really close to the undercovers. That's where they were at. Okay. So it's really interesting that I've been talking about that for a while. And then here comes Ann Taylor and she's like, why did you guys go and get that video? Like, where did this video come from? What's up with this video, right? I've been saying that for a long time. Here's proof of it. I went out and got out this old document. Fuck, I wrote this thing up like I couldn't even tell you how long. I said, there's something wrong with that. This vehicle. That's not even where they were looking. So right there, just to see that in black and white, just like, or to hear it and then go back and look at this in black and white and be like, yeah, we said that. Now after that, we're going to move to, Ann Taylor basically calls out Payne and says, there's plenty of ways up out of there. How are you just going to say that based on your experience that this is the only way to leave? And, just there's a lot of ways out of there. And because you didn't see something on a Ring camera, you're just like crossing stuff out. It makes no sense. That's logically just bad. To say that there's only a few cars that entered and exit this area during this time, maybe, but then it could also be the murders weren't at that time. Well, let's go here to, let's go to this one right here, which is further. Going and obtaining these AT&T. Okay, here we go. I don't know if you guys, I want to explain this. So basically, on December 23rd, an affidavit was written up, and they went to go and obtain the historical or the historical records of Brian Kohlberger, but it was only for 24 hours before the homicides and 24 hours after the homicides. Okay. Then when I was breaking down all of those search warrants, I noticed that, first of all, you're going and you're getting a search warrant, and then it's coming back to you so quickly. But then we find out that there was a second search warrant for AT&T. All right. And how do we find that out? I'll tell you how we find that out. They never put it out when they gave us all the search warrants. They never released this information. But if you go to this and you read this affidavit, right here, it gives us that information. On December 23rd, 2022, pursuant to that search warrant, Payne received records for the 8458 phone from AT&T. These records indicated that the 845 phone is subscribed to Brian Kohlberger at this address, and the account has been open since, June. All right, I'm going to zoom in a little bit more. These records also included historical cell site locations. After receiving this information, MPD consulted with an FBI agent. Okay, again, I'm pulling all of this back out, and I said, remember, we're like, I want to know who this is. Who is this? Well, now we know who this is, and this is Nick Balance. Now, those of you guys that have been following me with the Karen Reed case and how Higgins all of a sudden up and leaves the house and goes to the police station, and he's there after finding John O'Keefe's body. He's there from like 9:23 using the swipe card till about 4:50 with the swipe card. And once I started filling in this Excel spreadsheet, I was able to determine that those are very, very interesting times that he would go after being with Brian Albert at Brian Albert's home, that he would literally go to the Canton Police Department in concert with when Buchnick and Proctor were about to be there. Okay. So then it got me thinking about this case, which is on the stand. It said that these FBI agents were working 30 feet from Payne on the 23rd. But yet Ann Taylor provided text messages with Payne and the FBI agent. On the 23rd, they're like introducing each other, and there's text back and forth, and Payne saying that, well, yeah, he was working with me that day, and he was just only 30, feet from me. And it's like Ann Taylor's not buying it. Well, why isn't she buying it? Because I guarantee you that the text messages don't make any sense if you're 30 feet away from each other. Okay. Hey, Lana, Bob Mata gave you major props on his show last night. Oh, what did Bob have to say? Love Bob. Him and Allie, good people. So, thank you for sharing. Happy days. Appreciate that. So going back to this, again, I pulled this straight up out of, it's been, red has always been the folder for all the PCAs. So I wanted to go back and take a look. And I said, who's this, FBI agent? I wanted to know. Well, now we know who it is. Okay. And it's like kind of like Higgins in a way when I started thinking about like, why would Higgins go to the Canton Police? He's not working that day. I don't care if he has like a roaming office. Like, what are you doing over there? You should be like mourning the loss of your friend, not over at the Canton Police Department from 9:23 a.m. until 4:50, if not past that, right? So here we go. Well, after receiving the information, MPD consulted with an FBI agent that is certified as a member of the Cellular Analysis Survey Team CAST. Members of CAST are certified with the FBI to provide the expert testimony in the field of historical CSLI and are required to pass extensive blah, 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 blah. We all know that, right? And right here. So what they had to do then is Payne gets right here. He gets the historical data, but I want to show you guys what he wanted with it. He wanted the trap and trace. So after that, then he does this right here. So on the stand, Ann Taylor says, well, when did you apply for the second search warrant? Like on the same day, like on December 23rd. So wait a second, but you got the returns back and then you have to like enter them in. And then you heard Cyree testify. And he said that if you know what you're doing, it's still going to be like, 3 hours, 3 hours to be able to be able to do what you need to do. If you know what you're talking about, it's going to take you 3 hours to be able to make sure you're accurate with it, taking the material that you got from the AT&T search warrant, plugging it in, doing your test, all this shit. And then you're going to have to go and then write up this second AT&T search warrant. Okay. Well, guess what I did? Have you guys ever called AT&T and have you ever asked them, like, if they're like when they send stuff out, are you in Eastern Standard Time? Are you in Central Time? Or are you in Pacific Time? How does everything working here when you're asking for these custodial records? How do they know that you're like, how are they sending them back to you? Does that make sense? Because Brian's cell phone is registered in Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania is East Coast, motherfuckers. So I said to myself, wait a second. I said, wait a second. I said, wait a second. Where is AT&T located? When we look at a search warrant and I see that they got the returns back at this time, how much time could have elapsed? And then you have to write it up again, who signed off on it, and then how are they getting the second one, right? And so I said, dude, something's off here with this timing. Basically, Ann Taylor would have asked that question for a reason, and she thinks that there was no time. There's like, how did you guys do anything and possibly obtain a search warrant to then be able to do this? This is the tough part, all right? This is the tough part right here. Take a look. On December 23, 2022, I was granted a search warrant for Kohlberger's historical CSLI from June 23rd to current. This is about the location information and a pen register trap and trace. Okay, let me tell you something. This is what's the difficult thing to get. You can't just go and get these. But as Cyray testified to, it's like, why did you need this? What are you doing? Why did you need this? What the fuck are you doing? So, and it was for the purposes to aid in efforts to determine if Kohlberger stalked any of the victims in this case prior to the offense, conducted surveillance on the King Road residence, was in contact with any of the victims associated before or after the alleged offense. Any locations that may contain evidence. Well, wait a second. That's not what they said. You guys remember what was testified to in open court. When was it? Last week? It was right before we went to Nashville. It was that you guys needed to find Kohlberger. Like, you needed to have eyes on him because you didn't have eyes on him. But then that didn't make sense because you already did actually have eyes on him, and he had a big old, heavy duty, cost tons of money truck on him. And I knew that they had eyes on him by the way that they were so descriptive of the building when they went and searched it and what they put all down. Okay. So, so I call up AT&T because that's what I do. I call people and I said, hey, if you guys send out material with search warrants, is it going to come is it like East Coast time? Sure as shit. It's East Coast, right? So then I said to myself, wow. I said, I think that Payne has a way bigger problem on his hands. And so does Santa Claus. And so does Ashley motherfucking Jennings. Because you know what else I thought about? I thought about what time was the second warrant? It was, what are you using? You're providing in that search warrant. So think about this. You're providing in that search warrant stuff that's not true to obtain that search warrant. Because they would have never been able to do anything that they said that they did when they went ahead and wrote it up. So, but this is what's crazy. It's all about caste. So my question is, now for all of you guys at home, is, do you guys remember when Santa Claus flipped out and was like, what are you doing with these surveys? Like, this stuff, they mentioned the word that there's stuff that's inadmissible. there's stuff that's inadmissible. I'm like, what? You're using stuff that's inadmissible. What are you talking about? Well, holy shit. Is he saying that this is inadmissible because you're like announcing to the world that your own search warrants aren't valid? Because people read this and remember, spread it far and wide. And it was like, we wanted to see if, wouldn't this lead you to believe that Brian Koberger was stalking the victim? So anybody that's going to sign off on this, right? But if you went ahead and cut all these corners and none of this stuff was accurate, and however you went ahead and you said that you did it and you truly didn't do it that way, then how much shit is truly going to be inadmissible because you guys went ahead and, I'm telling you, there's Frank's hearing, like Frank's motions are going to be filed. There's going to be Frank's hearings coming. Okay. And so I went through this yesterday, the day before, and I said, holy shit, if you take out Cast, it's like, how did they get to Brian Koberger? Right? How did they get to Brian Koberger? And you have the FBI that's involved with Cast. You have the FBI that's allegedly involved in this IGG, right? But what if they truly didn't use IGG in terms of, there was two options with this. Either with the IGG, the FBI used the loophole, didn't pay the $700, $500, whatever it was, and they used all the kits to compare it to Brian Koberger's, right? Or number two, they went out and said that they did IGG but never did IGG so they could hide behind it as to whatever reason that where's this tip of Brian Koberger's name? Remember, the FBI is just, it's like submitting a tip. So, okay. We find out that WSU guy did not talk to Payne allegedly, and he did not know about Brian and WSU, that the car was there until December 20th. Do we think that that's a lie? I think that's a lie. I think that somewhere along the line, they saw material, and for whatever reason, they're going with that. And I haven't quite figured out why Payne can't say that he knows about any of that. But so if the FBI, remember, they're still trying to figure this out. What's the date that you got Brian Koberger's name? When did you begin this? When were you doing an investigation and all of a sudden your investigation moved off of the fraternities, this, whoever, to then, okay, here we're on to Brian Koberger? Because nobody said his name, right? There was no eyewitness. There was nobody that's come forward. So do you guys understand that this warrant right here, or this affidavit, was used to be able to get everything from Brian Koberger's apartment? So that would mean that everything that was found at Brian Koberger's apartment would be inadmissible because it's fruit of the poisonous tree. So whatever came out of there would never see the light of day. Anything that came out of Brian Koberger at his parents' place, that was the same thing. I mean, when you're using, and you're, remember I said, I was like, what's with these different search warrants, AKA an arrest warrant, like on the same day, within literally minutes to an hours apart each other? Why is Washington getting a different PCA, then Idaho's getting a different PCA, and then Pennsylvania's getting a different PCA? Why? Doesn't that seem off to everybody? That seemed really off to me back when they did it. Like, why would I be writing? I could see if my PCA, why is my PCA different versus like what I'm searching for? Obviously that's going to be different. Like here, this is for his apartment. So what I'm going to be looking for, then the house, then to arrest him. But why would my PCA? So basically I wrote up a PCA for his apartment because I'm saying that he went directly home. You guys do know that, right? In this PCA to go to his apartment, it's saying that he went directly home and it's just 10 miles. In the Payne one, it's saying that he made this huge loop, right? And then with some car basically coming up out of Bishop over there, whatever the fuck it was, at 5:35. I believe that the car is not Brian Kohlberger's. I don't even know if the car is a fucking Elantra. I believe that somebody is shady on the 700 block of Indian Hill. Okay. So remember we did a huge deep dive of everybody that fucking lived on that street. I know every single person that lives on that street. Okay. Who would have called up, or who would have Vargas called up to obtain that video off of some random person? Also, in the Karen Reed case, they specifically only went for certain hours with city cameras. Why, when we talk about the Brian Kohlberger case and we just heard, why would you only go from 5 to 6 a.m. with 2 cameras that are literally heading out south? Bob said Lana don't fucking play when she digs in. She digs in, talking about the video of Karen bagging in John's car. I don't fucking play. In fact, I'm not putting out one of my new spreadsheets because I'm going to wait until what's his name's off the stand. It's what the piece is. I personally believe that they broke the wrong taillight, and I think that you can prove it with the pieces. That's what I think. And I think I can prove it. I am going to the Karen Reed trial, yes. But yeah. But back to this is like, all right. So let's ask ourselves this question. If they had eyes on Brian Kohlberger early, how could they not obtain his DNA? How could they not obtain his DNA? Because they want us to believe that they didn't know that they. Do you understand they're holding out on telling? When I say that they're holding out, Ann Taylor's been asking for what this whole time that she can't get? How did you get to my client? When did you get to my client? What fucking date did this investigation go from? It could be anybody, right? Or according to the cops, this is a targeted, isolated attack. So when did it go from being a targeted, isolated attack to it being that we're putting all of this on Brian Kohlberger? Because did the car come first? Did somebody come forward? Were you tracking down this Elantra? Or, okay, this IGG stuff? Do you understand that I still believe that Ann Taylor does not know this? If you listen to Ann like oral argue and ask these questions, they want to know the dates of things. Why would you need to know the date of something? Because you're putting together the timeline of law enforcement. Okay? What you do is you take all the reports, every written up report, every supplemental, they have a date on it. Not the date that you wrote the report, but the date that you did what the report says that you did. Okay? So if I'm wearing like a body cam and I'm going to go interview somebody, I did it today. So that's the date that I did it. Maybe I don't write up my report for like 10, 15, 20 days later, and I'm using my body cam to make the report up. So here, this is the date I did it. Here's the body cam with it. And then there's a date of when I'm submitting the report. So there's 2 different dates. So you don't care about the date at first. You don't care about the date that you wrote it up. The way that I would go in order is I need the dates in order from what you did first, second, third, in chronological order. Just like I was saying with the search warrants. What was so important to them, you can tell based off of when they went and obtained certain search warrants for certain things. And I can tell you guys right now, when I found out that there was 101, I think, search warrants in this case, we don't have 101 search warrants. Go count them on that docket. And you know what search warrant we don't have that I wanted? Was search warrant number 2, which was of the AT&T right here. Because the way that it makes it seem is the timing of the search warrants mattered. Because obviously, you're taking the information that you've obtained to then write another search warrant so that you can get more things, right? So Ann Taylor, did you hear her ask and say, like, well, what did you put in these affidavits? What did you tell fucking Megan for her to sign this shit? So what would they have had at that point? And when would they have had it? What could they have possibly put in these search warrants to show that there's any connection if they in fact didn't use IGG like they said in any search warrant? And so they said that they didn't. So if they didn't use IGG, so that means you never would have had his name. How do you even go? And then think about this. The first time that you would have, okay, here we have his number. So this is how I believe it. I'm just going to state it how I believe this would have happened. It comes back with the name Brian Kohlberger. What's the first thing I'm going to do as an officer? I'm going to type in like Brian Kohlberger, right? I'm in Idaho and then Washington. Okay. Who is Brian Kohlberger? Okay, all of his material is going to come up with his driver's license, right? So then I'm going to see what kind of car he drives. Wouldn't I see that, like, off of those records? But more importantly, if I check my database with, okay, did we pull him over? Did WSU pull him over? So then I'm going to get ding, ding, ding. Oh, we actually pulled this motherfucker over. So here I go ahead and I take a look. And what does it show me? Okay, wow, Duke pulled him over. Why to this day has that never surfaced? We tried our asses off to get that body cam. I was like, to redact it. You guys put out the other one, the one that was in Washington. Why can't we get our hands on the body cam? Because this is the big one. This is the one where they say Brian Kohlberger said his number. And from that, then we put that number into the when they went to preserve all the towers and stuff like that, we put that in. And what does it come back to? It comes back to saying that number wasn't registering on any of the towers at that time. So that would have been right there, like your cock block. Like that didn't happen. Like his phone's not there. All right. And seeing as how it was touch DNA on the sheath, right? What would have been your next move? Okay, so he's what? Well, we come to find out that he has a Reddit survey. He's a PhD student from WSU, but he just got here. He traveled across. Oh, he freaking tried to sign up for what? A job with the WHO. The WSU police. So we're going to talk to them. Oh, wait, he got pulled over there as well. So we have that. Then we talk to them and somebody remembers him to say, oh, hey, I think we have something on file for that guy. He stuck out so much to me that Brian Kohlberger, okay, yeah, he filled out some interview, blah, blah, blah. So then we pull that. And this is like, and now this is what they say. And now do you believe it? Did he write up some essay and he said he wanted to be in law enforcement because he wanted to help with cloud forensics? The same thing that would literally, think about how crazy this is. You want me to believe this? The same thing that right here and now is basically going to free this guy. What? You want to talk about rural areas and basically, like, wow, right? That's kind of okay. You would have went through all of the roommates. You would have asked the roommates, right? Hey, do you know Brian Kohlberger? Would you show them like a 6-pack and say, hey, are any of these the guys, Dylan, that you saw? So is it maybe that the reason it's worded weirdly about Dylan, it's not that she did not identify him or however they worded it. But don't you think that she would have given Dylan a 6-pack with Brian Kohlberger's picture in there and said, okay, here, do you know do any of these people, is this the person you saw? Right? There is no way in hell that Dylan did not see a lineup. It's just not possible. She's your eyewitness. But the only way that she wouldn't have seen a lineup is if she isn't an eyewitness, right? So she can't identify him. She doesn't say, oh yeah, that's him, or oh my God, nothing. And then you go on social media, right? And you look and you see if any of the victims or even like the survivors have any ties to Brian Kohlberger, right? And everybody's coming back as no. Like there's none of that. But guys, guess what? There's no time for that. Okay, let's check Snapchat. Let's check this. They didn't check any of that shit. They didn't look at their Facebooks. They didn't look at, you know how I know that? Because there was no time for that. You know how long it takes to look at surveillance cameras that would have been all over there? There's no time for this shit. I mean, there was plenty of time for it, but this all happened in a 7-week period. And we're still trying to find out what's the day that y'all got the name Brian Kohlberger. And do you understand that the FBI, I mean, how much shit does the FBI have? How much shit were they involved in? It seemed like the FBI was involved in everything. Why was the FBI on this case right away? If Payne doesn't know anything about any of this shit, right? So Payne doesn't know how to word the piece. He said, Anne said, how did you write up your PCA? And he's like, because she's like, what are the wording that you used? And he's like, I didn't. I had help writing that. Help from who? Help about, like, what? So somebody's telling you how to write up a PCA for you to get all this phone shit that you know nothing about. And then when you get it, you still don't know anything about it. You don't know how to do anything with it, especially because you're going to do like cast and shit, right? But here's a better question. Was any of this type of stuff being utilized before the name Brian Kohlberger came out? Like, what were you doing with all of these people? You know, did you ask anybody of the parents either? Like, hey, any of you guys know Brian Kohlberger? To see, like, I mean, you got families that are in some drug shit, you know, and come to find out, like, none of these families were interviewed according to Steve Gonsalves, that nobody was really interviewed. And you would think that you'd want to interview the families. That's what I remember him saying. So then where are we at now? We're at here. We got a name. You should look into him. Okay, well, why am I looking into him? Don't I want to go and check his DNA to see if it is in fact a match to the DNA that we have? Wouldn't you want to go out and get something, a sample, to compare it to what you have? So you're going to sit here and tell me, right, that we didn't have that name until we didn't even know Brian Kober drove a white Honda Elantra. And I had no idea that those people at WSU found it until December 20th. December 20th. So from December 20th to December 23rd, how much work do you think was done? Did any of these people sleep? So what were y'all doing before December 20th? Why don't you think Anne knows where this, where, hello, hey, here's Brian. Hey, Santa, why aren't you just telling us? Hey, when did you get his name? When did this happen? And here's Santa, I don't know, the FBI. And we can't get any of their shit. The FBI would have had to pass this along to somebody. You guys hearing how fucked up this is? And then the FBI basically said, listen, you can't use any of this, so we have to find another way to get to this guy. But how did you know that it was him? Wouldn't you want to, at some point, test his DNA? He had a freaking office on campus, for heaven's sakes. You're telling me Brian Koberger's DNA is nowhere in his office or any room that he taught in at that school? That's pretty crazy to me. What? You want me to believe this shit? I don't believe any of it. And if you actually go in order from this PCA, now I have a question. You guys have heard Christy and Steve talk, and you guys remember how adamant that Christy and Steve have been saying that, especially Christy, that this was intended for one person, but 3 more people died. But this was only one person was supposed to be, and then in the process of this, 3 people. You guys remember hearing that? So I thought about it. Where would they have gotten that information? Why would anybody say that? This was intended for one person, but 3 people, and the killer just, he went in quietly, and he got out. But at first, Christy also said that she thought that that they would have known who this is, right? So I got to thinking about that. And if it's known that Ethan and Xana normally are going to be in the same room together, they couldn't have been the person targeted to be the one person, then 3 people end up dying, right? Additional besides that one person. So logic would tell me that Xana and Ethan were not the intended target, because there is no way to think that there would always be 2 people in that bedroom that you're going into. Make sense? Now, you go upstairs, or you go to any other bedrooms, and you would have Dylan, who's one person, Bethany, one person, Kaylee, one person, but was Kaylee living there at the time, or was she not? And then Maddie, one person. Except for the fact that those two girls upstairs were in the same bedroom, right? But do you remember when the police came out and they wanted us to believe that two people, the survivors, were downstairs together in the same bedroom? So that would mean that the police wanted us to believe that Dylan and Bethany were in the same room. Ethan and Xana were in the same room. And and they tried to keep it all hush hush. Let me take that back. They wanted it to seem to us, before Steve let the cat out the bag and before we saw the PCA, okay, that the two survivors were downstairs together in the same room. All right. In the basement level, kind of, And then in the middle, then basically that if it wasn't for Steve talking, we would have never heard that they were in the same room. That they went to school together and they end up dying in the same bed together. That's how we found that out, right? And then when Ethan's mom was interviewed, they said they wouldn't tell us, that it just said that they were on the same floor, same room, or something like that. All right. That was important in their investigation. That they were trying to keep all of that under wraps. Who was where? And then they lied. And they lied about where the two survivors were. And people can say that it was for the safety of those survivors, to make it seem like, they weren't witnesses or whatever. Well, why couldn't they just say that they were both downstairs in their bedrooms? They specifically said they were both together. That they had went downstairs and whatever. Because they tried to make it seem like Dylan had her room down there. Which, again, fucking wild shit, right? So I want to go back to you give me, if I was to be a detective and you gave me the name Brian Koberger, and it's like, here, listen, we can't tell you how we got this, but here's the name. You're going to have to get here and you're going to have to get there a different way. But here's the name, and this is who we believe is the killer. But we can't tell you how we got this. What would you do? Remember how I said, why wouldn't you just go get his DNA? Because I don't believe the FBI ever told him that they used IgG. That's why. It's the only fucking thing that makes sense. Why wouldn't you try to go get his DNA off of, at the school, this way? It's because the FBI never revealed that they even used IgG. That's why. That's the only thing that makes logical sense to me. But I do believe that you could say here, here's, based off of what we did, we can't tell you how we got this, but here, investigate this person. Remember how Bill Thompson said that? It was like, here, investigate this person. Because anybody in their right mind, if you, when I was listening to Vargas, Leo Larkin, all of them testify, they said, when you have the person that you think it is, and you're going to compare it, you don't go and get the people's family to compare it to then the sample that you have. You go and you get the DNA of the person that you think it is, and then that's what you compare to what you have. And so it's like, wait a second, why wouldn't they fucking do that? It's just that's why? Well, here it is. It's because they never fucking told these numbnuts that it's how they got it. They never told Payne, we got it from using IgG. because anybody then would just go find this guy. He's gonna, go to. So you're gonna have to get here a completely different way, but you're not gonna tell us that you even used IgG. That's my opinion. That's the only thing that makes sense to me. They use the loophole. They're not going to tell anybody about it. And then the FBI is just going to give a tip because that's how it works. It's just a tip. So here, give it to us and let's see what we can do. Okay, we come back. We're able to say, Brian, it's Brian Kohlberger. We give you the name Brian Kohlberger. And you're just like, so as a detective, you give me like this name. How do I go? Okay, so Brian, all right, well, let's put his name in. Let's see what pops up. All right, well, he was pulled over. Okay, let's check that body cam. Holy shit, he gave his number. Okay, let's pump his number. You can't just go and get search warrants if there's no connection here. You can't just be like, what are you writing on these search warrants to get shit? To like keep getting stuff that you can keep going further and further and further to being able to get all this information. What the hell are you telling the courts in your probable cause for whatever? Probable cause that he is involved with 4 homicides. What are you saying on any of your search warrants or any of your warrants for anything to do with him? And that's why I think the Reddit warrant and how they slipped up and they wrote the wrong date, that they were going after Reddit. Why in the world would you go after a Reddit and write that you're going after Reddit on 11/21, and then not serve that and actually like write it that you did everything on 12/1. It's a pretty big slip up there. I don't think, but why did they choose? I'm saying, I want us to think about this in a different way. I want us to think about this in a way that, nobody's choosing anybody here. The FBI comes back and there's DNA on that sheath. Okay. There's DNA on that sheath. And now either that sheath was planted, but either way, I personally believe that DNA belongs to Brian Kohlberger. Okay. Now it's a question of, do you believe that it was planted and placed there? Okay. Or do you believe that he really truly did it? Wasn't, of all things, left a sheath there, right? And then, so you have this one thing, but nothing else ties to him, right? I just want to know, because looking at all of this, we saw it clear as day when Ann Taylor was questioning Payne, Mowry, and then Cyree, 100% across the board. Idaho is completely fucked with this case. They lied in search warrants. It's that simple. Okay. But so if you're going to give me, and I'm like one of the lead command posts here. Okay. We got the name Brian Kohlberger. What are we going to do? Type it all in there. Okay. First thing that you would do. Boom. Okay. But how can we get more information? We're going to try to get okay. So we have this Reddit thing because it was an open survey. Then he was there has to be something there. Like, what did they use to obtain even the historical just an hour before, an hour after? Not an hour, but 24 and 24, so 48 hours. What are you saying? You would have to look at all the returns off of Snapchat, Facebook, Instagram. And then guess what would happen? Even if you went ahead and you did that and you saw, are these people following Brian Kohlberger? Is Brian Kohlberger following them? No. Then what? He matches the description. So this is what you then look at. You have what? What can we possibly use in here? Because he said we're going to use what DM and BF said. Okay. What? The guy had bushy eyebrows? You seriously think you're getting a fucking search warrant because you're saying this person has bushy eyebrows? No. Okay. So When did you know that Brian Koberger drove a white Honda Elantra? You think that they're matching? Found a latent shoe print? It would say no. Video cameras. Okay, here we get to the video cameras. Okay, so then we have these King Road. Okay, then we found. Okay, here's a white car. So you're going to have to interview these eyewitnesses and say, okay, or from the ring camera, maybe there's multiple things, but how are you narrowing it down that you believe that this happened between that time and this time versus, hey, this is, you guys didn't call fucking 911 until noon. All right. So we have from noon until when y'all say you got home? 2, everybody was alive. Okay. We have from 2 a.m. until noon that this could have happened. So who went through this to say, okay, we're going to start looking in the time frame of this because, well, I heard Kaylee's dog and I thought she was playing with the dog, but okay, so when do you think you heard that? And remember, okay, we're going off of these phones, but if they were on their phones their whole night and they were up and out, they were drinking. I mean, so that's going to be like really questionable and unreliable. Remember how many phones are in this case. So how long do we get to say, okay, here, when do we find out even about this DoorDash? What about the guy that dropped off the girls? Then you got these boyfriends. Then you got, how about this? What about the geofencing? You guys don't think geofencing was done in this case? So what about the geofencing in this case? Do you go through all of that? And like, then the Banfield camera surface. Then the undercovers realize, oh, hey, we have a bunch of cameras from that night. Here, this is where we were. This is where we weren't. Da, da, da. Here, you can look on this one. You can look on this one. Okay, so here we got the name Brian Koberger. How in the world did you obtain to go as far as you did if you couldn't use any of the stuff that you, how does that happen? How does that happen? And the answer is it doesn't. It doesn't unless you did shit illegally. And then you got caught. You did shit illegally. You lied and you lied to get shit. And so now people are going to say, hey, Lana, well, how do you feel though? We did what we did so that we could catch a fucking killer. You did what you did to catch a killer. That's what this case is going to come down to. This is going to be about morale. If people think that Brian Koberger is guilty, it's going to be like the ends justifies the means of what we did. Or you're going to believe that Brian Koberger was framed. Those are the only two things, just like in Karen Reed's case. After seeing that all of the pieces belong to her taillight, right? It's her taillight. It's not like it's somebody else's. It's not like there was a plow or it's her taillight. So either Karen Reed hit John or Karen Reed was framed. There is no other alternative. It's one or the other. And when I said that she was framed, she's framed by law enforcement. Whoever was, and obviously like the witnesses, the people that were actually involved. So when people say that it can't happen or Lana, you're fucking crazy, I'm going to tell you that I think you're crazy. Okay. If the data proves that Brian Koberger was elsewhere, okay, then we either have somebody that's on our hands, planned this like crazy and was able to put his phone somewhere else, right? And did all this. But think about that. If that is truly the case, then you lied about really truly where his phone was in hopes of saying what? That somebody wouldn't catch any of this shit, that somebody wouldn't catch how we did this so that we can you know, did y'all lie and say Brian Kober was fleeing in order to like that he was a fugitive? I mean, what did y'all write in these affidavits to get these search warrants to literally get his records to the point that you could put them in and then say cast has the cast from his phone matches the white Honda Elantra that we see, you know, traveling. Well, guys, I'm gonna tell you this. I don't believe the white Honda Elantra is Brian Kober's. That vehicle may be whoever's housing the killers or whoever was the killer. But I think they have the wrong car, even if it is Brian Kober. Something's way off about all of that because they had to work backwards. Remember that. They had to work backwards. And so then how are we even saying that the killings were between that time? You're going off of what? If you can prove that law enforcement, especially the feds, tweaked and did all this shit and it's wrong, then the same thing's gonna happen with the Karen Reed case. The jury is going to see this and say, Jesus, holy shit. Okay. So it's kind of like Alan Jackson here. You don't want certain things to be suppressed because you want to show how fucked up it is. There's no chain of custody with stuff, right? So do we want to take that out or do we want to leave it in and show how, hey, they just kept going back to the lawn and just spraying it with more plastic and more glass. And yet there's all these pieces, but how many pieces only truly made up for that little puzzle that homie girl put together? Okay. Paula, what's up? Welcome, baby. Woo. I feel like Lally. So I went back to this whole, like, how do we get Brian Kober and did the university and did Idaho, like, what other things could have happened before you have to lie in search warrants? What could have happened? How can you not get him? You know, you have eyes on him. Did you ever try to talk to him then? You know, do we believe that Brian Kober was talked to? Did the FBI try to talk to him? Did Payne try to talk to him? Remember, we want to talk to the occupant or occupants of that car. Well, I can tell you right now that I don't think now that Brian Kober came forward and said, that's my car, right? Because he wasn't over there. Then he's claiming like he's not over there. Because that really doesn't make any sense that, hey, I'm the occupant of that car. Oh, but wait here. I wasn't over there and here's my alibi. You know, so that goes out the window for me. You have Ann Taylor, who is 100% behind this guy's innocence. You have all of his lawyers 100% behind it. And is it that they're 100% behind Brian Kober's innocence because they believe Brian Kober? Or is it because they have all of this shit that they're looking at and they're like, what the fuck have these motherfuckers done? These mofos. What have these people done? Like, holy shit. They're lying their asses off. They're hiding everything. Shit, we don't even know when the name Brian Kober was said for the first time. And then you have what we thought was like, okay, this is a great piece. No, look at this. Then you guys understand that there's way more line than we ever thought. Let me show this part to you, that there's way more line than we ever thought. This part right here. Not only did they say that Brian Koberger's phone was traveling in that route when it wasn't, okay? But they are saying that 12 times. 12 times. So that his phone was pinging off of a cell tower that is consistent with the same cell tower that 1122 King occupies. Now, suspect vehicle 1 likely exited the neighborhood at the Pullman River Drive in Consagna. So Payne's going with this one when he's talking to Ann Taylor. And that's why Ann Taylor was like, well, what's that map? Why you have him going all this way? Because this says that, and the drive is on the southern edge of Moscow. So why didn't you go and obtain any of those businesses' videos? And when you did obtain anything, why did you only get from 5 to 6 a.m.? That's the wrong motherfucking time. If you're trying to get Brian Koberger leaving from the crime scene, a crime scene that happened, which you're stating from 4 to 4:20, why did you only go and get from 5 to 6 a.m.? Y'all understand that, right? Y'all understand that that's what happened. That there is no, that they did not go and get, they only got that 1 hour. And you're saying in your warrant here that you have them leaving and heading out this way south, and you got a construction video camera from 5 to 6 and a, I don't know, coffee. What are you doing? And so, like, that's why I say, like, take these names out. Take the names out. How inept are you? I don't give a fuck if it's Brian Kober. Why would you think to only go and get 1 hour from 5 to 6 that has zero relevance in this case if you're saying based on when you think the crime happened? How about this, though? Why wouldn't you just get the cameras for 24 motherfucking hours, especially if you think he's been casing the motherfucking place? Why wouldn't you get a whole week? And that's called inept. That's inept. That's so we can't. I don't want to always say that you're corrupt. No, you're just fucking stupid. You shouldn't be doing this job. And I have no problem saying that because it's right here in black and white. So we can't just go, oh, they're corrupt. They're corrupt. No, they just shouldn't be doing this job, and they should be fired. They should not be doing this. Because that doesn't make any sense unless you're doing it on purpose. So you can pick, are you inept or did you purposely only go and get 5 to 6? Either way, you're gone. You're fired. Because it doesn't matter. Because in any other job, you guys, you would lose your fucking job. And so why wouldn't these people? We're going to go protect. No, you fucked it. This is a murder case. So that to me, I don't understand that. And so Ann Taylor made that known. Like, what are you doing? You went out and got camera from 5 to 6. That's going to show us what? Absolutely nothing. Now, you're lying again, though, because you said that Brian Koberger's phone was pinging on this tower. And wait, and how did you do this again? The same way you did the cast with the drive? Bye-bye. But the only way that you could say that he was, and that's how they were making it seem like he was stalking them. Them saying that, hey, he pinged, and it was all late hour pingings. Remember all that? Every one of them except for one. And then here you have Santa saying, that is not true. Why are you asking those questions on that survey? And some of this stuff is inadmissible. And it's like, what, bro? You just put all of this shit in a goddamn PCA to arrest this motherfucker. And now it's not, we can't use it to ask people questions on if you think Brian Kober was stalking the victims because y'all said it. But now we find out that, wait a second. Not only was he wasn't stalking them, okay, his phone might not even been there, because then what they used at the end to like spice it even more up. And to this day, since the murders, he has not pinged one time on those towers. Well, I'll be damned. And you know what I think's so funny? You know what I think's so funny? You were telling people to stay the hell away from that place. People, why would he ping in Moscow? Like, why would he ping there? And then he went home. He went to Pennsylvania. You make it seem like, holy shitty. And then he never went back there. There's no weight behind that. There's no weight behind that. But they tried to make it seem so weighty. You know what I mean? Like there's so much weight in that statement. There's no weight in that statement. Because he was out to go to PA. When? So now you're only looking at like this time. And then now you want us to believe that you actually know how to read anything. So when all of this is scraped back, and this is what's going to suck, is that if Brian Culver truly did this, he's walking. If he did this. And now, but if he didn't do this, then the real killers, I don't believe will ever be caught. Because when has that ever happened? Oh, hey guys, guess what? We kind of messed up, but we have somebody else. We got somebody else waiting over here on the, it's never going to fly because you're Brian Kohlberger's touch DNA's on this sheath that either really truly happened or you planted it. But all of this stuff that you've done is going to make it seem like that was planted, regardless if it was planted or not. And then everything that you're hiding, and it's like everything that I see on how Santa's acting and how Jennings, I hope she's pregnant. Okay. But Jennings to me is your typical prosecutor, man. She's a bitch. I would never have a beer with her. But you want to know what? She could probably get you out a lot of jams. So then maybe I should have a beer with her. But I mean, they remind me of everything that's going on in the Karen Reed case. Corruption doesn't start from the bottom, guys. Shoddy police work doesn't start from the bottom either. So shitty police work does not start from the bottom, and neither does corruption. Who are we trained by? Who is anybody I don't care if you go work at Walmart. Who's training you? You're only going to be as good as you're trained. You're only going to be as good as you are being asked to be held accountable. You're only going to be as good as, that's just anything in life. And all I know is Idaho needs to, they just scrape it. Idaho State Police, Massachusetts State Police. What is up with these state police? What is going on? You guys, how were 120 people involved in this from a standpoint of law enforcement? 120 people. Ann Taylor has the name of 120 officers in some way, some form, has done something with this case. Did you guys hear Payne say he doesn't know who was the FBI that was part of this command team? Are you kidding me right now? What are you talking about? What are you talking about? Listening to that man? Now, do you know that Anne was trying to ask him, when did this whole year thing with this car? All right. Well, now I'm more convinced than ever, guys. You ain't roping in no 2011 to 2016. If I can break that on down and show you, because either one, it's that shitty of, cameras that you're going for, but I can't imagine that it's that shitty based off of what I've seen. Now I want to point to this, which is going back to this is what they told us. Ready? They told us that on November 25th, MPD, they were the ones that asked law enforcement agencies to be on the lookout for a white Honda Elantra. I want to see an email about that, okay? Because they don't tell the public this until December 7th, right? Okay. Now, I gave you guys my opinion on the fact that I think that they put that out there because I don't know if maybe the media got a hold of something, but I personally believe that they were trying to flood the tip line. They were trying to flood their own tip line because that's just what makes sense to me. They were literally trying to flood their own tip line, and they did. Because then whoever is going to be defending this case is going to have to go through all that shit, right? Now, on November 29th at approximately 12:28 a.m., Washington State University police officer Daniel Tanego queried white Elantra registered at WSU. Okay. Well, I was trying to put, because like this one goes in a completely different order. And this one I believe is the order is a way better order that they actually went with. And so I said to myself, why would they even have to talk about this if, like, how do I want to say this? Okay. Payne comes out and testifies and says that they did this, but I was never aware of it. So here, they may have had all that at that point, but I didn't have it. I didn't have it. Okay. Well, did somebody in command have it? Like, so you didn't have this until December 30th. So this, anything to do with this, couldn't be in any search warrant PCAs. Obtaining these search warrants that anything that had to do with Brian Kohlberger. And the two that they were most focused on was to get, using his phone number. And they were saying that his phone number came from that ticket, getting that ticket. I think his phone number would eventually came from, don't you think, like the interview process with, what's his name? When he did everything at WSU, like, don't you think that phone number would have came even by that, like with that? So here we have this guy who finds it at 12:28 because he queried to like look them up. And then this person, as a result, that query, he located a 2015 white Elantra with a Pennsylvania license plate. Now, if you didn't use any of this, and you didn't know any of this, right? Then why is this even in your PCA? Why aren't you just saying how why aren't you just talking about your December 20th encounter with how you got it from at the time, unbeknownst to Moscow, like, why wouldn't it be written up that way? Why wouldn't it be that on December 20th, Officer Payne talked with so-and-so, this guy? You see how it just says like, hey, this happened here. Okay. Where does it say? It says that the same day then, apparently, this officer was looking for white Honda Elantras and he actually physically located the car. So literally 20 minutes later, this guy physically locates the car. That guy queried him. And this guy actually just was like driving around and happened to find it. That's what that says. And now, and it says that so it was the apartment complex that housed WSU students. Officer Whitman also ran the car and it returned to Kohlberger with a Washington tag. I reviewed Kohlberger's Washington state driver's license information. Now, doesn't it seem the way that he writes this, that like, who's I? Like, this is what's when did they finally talk to you that you said I did this? Do you see how when you're reading this doesn't correlate to say that after those people did this, they contacted us, and then so like basically none of this matters. Because it's just like saying, okay, well, where does it say anything about them getting in contact with you? It just says that, okay, so Whitman also ran the car and it returned to Kohlberger with a Washington tag. I reviewed Kohlberger's Washington state driver's license information and photograph. This license indicates, now think about this. if you're a judge, if you were to read this, how can you not possibly read this page and then literally on the next page, how would it not seem to you that that's exactly, that you got this from those people, and then it would have been on November 29th? You're making it seem like you got this information on November 29th. And I believe that that's important. I believe that that is really, really important because of whatever was going, it's misleading. You want to know why I think it's really important? Because if you really told the truth, then it would blow up your spot. So then he says, I looked up, okay, this is his opinion that these would be bushy eyebrows. Like, I looked up Brian Kober, and guess what? He has bushy eyebrows. That's consistent with what Dylan said. Are you shitting me? Okay. So where does it say there? We provided Dylan with a 6-pack, a lineup. And guess what? She didn't pick him out. Well, it's because he had a mask on. That would make sense. Then what did you do? Further investigation, including a review of Latah County Sheriff's deputy. So what they're trying to say here is listen to their order, because normally a PCA is supposed to go in order of like, what'd you do next? What'd you do next? What'd you do next? So like their order. So everything that we know now, their PCA says that, okay, hey, we arrived on scene. We went into the bedrooms. I saw this. Then we had numerous interviews with Dylan and Bethany. We looked at their phone. Okay. Then we did the, then this is about the grub truck video. Then this is saying everybody was home by 2 and in their rooms by 4. Then except for Xana, because she received a DoorDash. Okay. And then DA, she went originally to sleep, blah, 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 in her bedroom on the south side of the floor, blah, blah, blah. Okay. Short time later, she said, we know all of that. Then with the combination of DM statements to law enforcement, review of forensic downloads of records from their phones, and video of a suspect vehicle as described below leads investigators to believe the homicides occurred between 4 a.m. and 4:25 a.m. Then they find a latent shoe print, but they don't say that it belongs to Brian Koberger. This was also located during the second processing, which was right outside of, but they're trying to make it seem like it belongs to Brian Koberger because they're saying it's right outside of what's, her name's, that's ISP, forensic team. I wouldn't trust them as far as I can throw them. And I can't throw them at all. So, but they're basically saying that they believe that would belong to the person that was walking in or out based on DM statements. Misleading. Then they did this video camera canvas, right? And they said they collected numerous surveillance videos in the area from both residential and businesses. And that they were able to then they come up with the next thing that they say they got their hands on is the 700 block. And that's where Ann is like, what the fuck are you talking about? Why would this Vargas chick just call up this this is completely on the opposite side, not where this is supposed to be happening and what you wanted and asked for the community to do. Now, but Vargas, this detective woman calls up and, oh, hey, can I get your ring? And look, there's a fucking white Elantra. Give me a break. And that's what Ann says. How did this happen? How did this happen? What made this woman call up this random ass fucking, hey, you're lucky caller 500. Can we see your ring? Can you go to 3:30-ish? Oh, there you go. Thanks. Okay. Now, that's what they said that they did next. Then they said that they reviewed the footage multiple times. And so they were able to see that, okay, it made 4 swipes around. All right. And at first, when they showed it to somebody, they, and then basically they don't see it anymore when it leads out of Walenta. So they just said, based off of my experience as a patrol officer in this residential neighborhood, with a very limited number of vehicles that travel in the area during the early morning hours, that's how you determined that vehicle was the vehicle. But what about all the people that walk? What about all the people that walk? How are you just ruling them out? Anyways, so this is what they say they did next. That they reviewed the video, and that's why they're saying this time. Okay, so where's Brian Kober? Suspect vehicle 1 can be seen entering the area 4th time, and then they then see it like sprinting all off. Well, who's trying to parallel park a car, yet you're going to go kill everybody? You're doing this all so that you can be seen, and you can see that somebody's struggling to take a 3-point turn, then parallel park. I mean, are you a moron? You moron. You tried to parallel park before you commit murder in an area where it's just like, why wouldn't you just go in the back? Like where it's totally like wooded. Let's just be on the main street right there, just jerking around. Just completely stupid. Then they said that after that, they said suspect vehicle 1 likely exited the neighborhood likely. So I likely exited the neighborhood at Palouse River Drive. This is what Payne testified to. And then Ann said, well, how did you narrow that down? Well, because none of the videos, there was no video, like the video of this vehicle just stopped. Well, did you get videos from this area? No. This area? No. This area? No. Okay. So like I've been saying this whole time, you can't just say that. You cannot just say that. Just because a ring, well, how do rings, is it running all the time? No. So it has to see movement. Okay, well, how many times do rings not pick up somebody driving on the street? Because that's not what it's for. All the time. So then they said, okay, well then, we believe though that it's left up out, and then where does it go? That eventually that road leads to Pullman. Eventually that road leads to Pullman. Pullman, Washington is approximately 10 miles from Moscow. Both Pullman and Moscow are small college towns, and people commonly travel back and forth. So then why would you say in a PCA that somebody pinging on a tower 12 times in a common area where people go back and forth all the time would be something that would be out of the ordinary? Because it wouldn't be. But yet you're trying to make it seem like it is. It doesn't make any sense. You're lying. That's why I said, well, 12 times tower stalking, remember? Tower stalking killer. There you go. Now, law enforcement officers provided the video of suspect vehicle 1 to a forensic. So then here, what kind of car are we looking for? Okay, and then this is where he said, with the federal bureau, they said that, okay, we believe that it's 2000, I think it was 11 to 13, right? After reviewing the numerous observations of suspect vehicle 1, the forensic examiner initially believed that suspect vehicle 1 was a 2011-2013. But upon further review, they indicated it also could be a 2011-2016. And I'm going to tell you this, you would never say that that car is a 2011 to 2016. The lights blow it up, the rims blow it up. You could change it to say, okay, you know what? It is 2014 to 16 actually, because look at this. So you're going to eliminate. You wouldn't. Okay, it could be from this to this. You're gonna get waxed, especially when we find out when you change this. When did that special agent change his opinion? I can tell you. I bet you it was after they knew that Brian Kober drove a 2015. Come on now. Now. Then they said they did this. So as a result, investigators have been reviewing. Like they're still doing it. Have been reviewing information on persons in possession of that. Are you kidding me? You made a list of this basically? Investigators were given access to video footage on the Washington State University campus. What made you go there? And then I said, when? What's the date? Like, okay, How do you just go to WSU and say, okay, guys, I have no idea how we're going to do this. How many videos do you think WSU has? How many videos do you think WSU has on their campus? Well, we need the one that's going to have the eggs. Okay, leaving out this way and leaving out that way, you know. Okay. And then we're just going to sit through here until we find a white car. What? You have nothing that's identifying it in the video that you have, like a license plate or anything like that. But we're just going to say that this car that leaves from out of here is that car that we see over here. What? Nobody would ever do an investigation like this unless you have a name. Unless you have a name. Unless you have a fucking name. Would you ever do an investigation like this? There is no way. Can you imagine if I'm sitting around a table with all of you people and I was just like, hey guys, this is what we're going to do. Well, we're going to go down to WSU and we're going to get every surveillance camera that's like, you know, that is a highly travelable way to get out and in. Okay. And we're going to review all this camera footage and we're looking for a white car that looks like a white Honda Elantra. Excuse me. Wait, wouldn't you look at your own businesses in your fucking area to track the fucker that's way closer to the incident and the crime scene? Like the time and like, wouldn't you take the businesses that are close to you and look at those? No, we're going to go out. Okay. No, you wouldn't. You may go there to preserve. You may go there to preserve that, but there is no way that we are going to start looking at that footage unless you have a name. Unless you have a name. So nobody would do this to this. Then they said that they did this. Investigators were given, okay, here you go. How many? How many? WSU maintains a series of surveillance cameras on, you know, a review of that video. Of what video? Of that video? Of what? You just said that they were giving, are you talking about? Investigators were given access to video footage. What video? What? And then, oh wait, by the way, at 2:44, this is what we have. Okay, then what'd you do? So at 2:44, we have a vehicle. I observed on WSU surveillance traveling north. Okay. At approximately 2:53 a.m., a white sedan, which is consistent with the description of the white Elantra. Okay. Then we showed that video to somebody, and they said it was a 2014 to 2016. At approximately 5:25 a.m., a white sedan, which was consistent with the description of the video. Oh, I observed on 5 cameras. But guess what? Just getting out of there, guys, was only on 1. They don't have it on 5 cameras. They have it on 1. That's what I've gathered from that, because it's saying like just this video. But on the way back, they're saying that it's taking this miraculous other way that Payne has tracked, allegedly. Now, why do you think Payne had to say that? Because it's pinging all the way over there. So we can't just say like, well, God, how can we make some of this make sense? We're going to act like he went this way up out of the place. What? That's the only way that it works. We can't say that he went straight home because we know that his phone's over here. So how are we going to say that? Because technically, if you're on this tower, you could be way over here, though. But you could also be over here. But wait, what? And then how many times did you stab this pings? Like, you should have a shit ton of them, right? Because how often is your phone ping, right? What if we come back, we found out that they only did like, you know, how many are you supposed to do? It's like, what if somebody turns in, hey guys, I have 100 pings because let me show you why. Right here. Good old Brian Drake's Life 360 app. Look at all this shit. Every time it's moving, it's, you know, it's giving another data point. Okay. And this is GPS off of his Life 360 app. Do you see the times on these? This is, 13:21, 21 seconds, 13:21 and 4, then 2, like 13 and 20 seconds. You see all that shit? So how many data points do you think that Payne's map says for this? How many data points? I'm going to guess really, really not that many. Okay. Because if he would have a lot of data points, I think he would be FUCK'd. So there's no way that he has a lot of data points. So then they said, okay. Now this is what's interesting. If you're truly looking for a vehicle, this part could have been found for a while. Okay, like this part. You want to know how I know this now? Because you couldn't have got any of this stuff until you got his historical records, which would have been on December 23rd or after, like any of this stuff, right? Because you're thinking he goes straight home. So you should have been looking for like stuff at, like I did an episode when everybody thought I want to know everything about the hoodie guy. So I had an episode where I broke down how far he would have been at this time, leaving up out of there for the murder, and said, hey, all of those gas stations along the way to go to Boise, this is where he would have been, depending on if you had a half a tank, if you had a full tank of gas, if you had, just 3/4. These are all the different exit points. And this is the time frame that he would have been at each one of them. So hopefully you go and you preserve that, because you never know who, maybe he had to stop and get gas and, he's bloody or something, whatever. Maybe there's somebody with them, whatever it may be. So think about doing that same thought process. That's the methodology of why I did that. So think about this. If you think that this murder happened and it would have been over at 4:20, like you're saying, well, you should be looking at vehicles in the time frame of 4:35, 4:40, 4:50. All right. Because you got the hell up out of there, right? And where would you really be looking for these videos? You wouldn't be looking coming from like the opposite way. You're going to be looking at videos, So this couldn't have come till way later. So we're going to skip this part because I know that this couldn't have come yet. So they can put it there, but there's just, you just wouldn't have had that yet until you had the historical records. It's impossible. It's impossible because you're following this. How you get this is because you're saying his phone was pinging because he turns his phone back on at 4:48 or whatever. All right. That's their version. Who's to say he ever fucking shut his phone off? Like what? So let's go on. Then they say, now he wants to bring this up. So, and this is why I said that all of that would have happened before November 29th. But based off of Payne, he doesn't know about this until December 20th. So, and that's with like getting all the WSU about Brian Kober having that vehicle. Now, there's a reason though for that, and I'll figure it out. So he explains that. Then he says, after that, further investigating, then that's when they're saying that basically this is how you got to Brian Koberger because, oh, wait, hey, we found somebody that has this white Elantra. His name's Brian Koberger, but then you didn't get this information until December 20th. So then what did you do? Then we put his name in and we said, oh, God, look at, he's been pulled over. And he was pulled over on August 21st. So as part of the, pull him over, oh, God, he was the sole occupant. Okay. And then holy shit, we noticed that his Pennsylvania plate, okay, which to them is a big deal, was set to expire on November 30th. So like, holy shit. During this, because like the vehicle that they have and found was a Washington plate, remember? So then, okay, well, during the stop, which was recorded via, body cam, oh God, Brian Kober just gave his phone number. And so boom, there they have it. And so that's how they say. So then the next thing that they decided to do is that, okay, then we found out there was an AT&T phone. So then we then are still Googling Brian Kohlberger and we say, oh my God, he was pulled over also October 14th. So then we look at that body cam. Great. Then we go to seeing that on November 18th, according to a state license, Kohlberger registered the white Honda Elantra with Washington and later received the Washington plates. And so at the time of the crime, he would have had Pennsylvania plates. Now, he would have done that on November 18th. November 18th. Now, I would have hit them up and said, hey, do you guys still have any surveillance from that day? Wouldn't you? It's worth a stab. Let's see if Brian Kohlberger has, I don't know, any marks on him. His face is banged up. I don't know, his whatever, something, you know? You never know. So I'm curious to see if they hit up the DMV to say, hey, yo, can I get your surveillance? Anyways, then the next thing they said that they did was they talked to somebody who was like, oh, wow, this is why we can't make out his plates, because he didn't have to have a front plate because it was PA. That's what they say. Awesome. Then they said, okay, we believe that Kohlberger is still driving that vehicle because he was captured on December 13th, 2022 by a license plate reader. So he's still driving this car. Okay. So the next thing that you did when you figured all of this out, then you're going to talk about December 13th and you're going to talk about that it was captured on this reader. Okay. And that on December 16th or 15th, he was pulled over. Surveillance video showed Kohlberger's Elantra in this area. The sole occupant of the vehicle. Now, remember I asked you guys, do you think that they had all eyes on Brian Kohlberger from the moment that he left to like when he got there? Some people say yes, some people say no. Then they said the next thing that they do is based on information provided at WSU, he is currently a PhD student, okay, in criminology at WSU. Pursuant to records provided by a member of the interview panel that Payne Police, we learned that Kohlberger's past education included undergrad, whatever. And then this is wrong. I know for a fact that he was emailing and did all that stuff in the fall, April 2022. So this little essay, when he would have done this, when he was applying for that internship with the Payne Police in the fall, I think he would have done all of that stuff in the spring because he talked to that Jenkins dude. I have the emails. Kohlberger wrote in his essay he had interest in assisting rural law enforcement agencies with how to better collect and analyze. Are you kidding me? Data in public safety operations. Are you fucking kidding me? Wow. Kohlberger also posted a Reddit survey, which can be found. So then the next thing that you found is you found this Reddit survey in open source internet. Imagine that. I think you messed up though, because I'm sorry, but go check out that Reddit warrant. Then, as part of this investigation, law enforcement obtained search warrants to determine cellular devices that utilize cellular. And this is where I said, how the fuck did you get out of this jam? Which was when you pumped in this number between 3 and 5, it came back, investigators reviewed the search warrant returns, and guess what? It's a big, his number isn't coming up. It's not on those towers. And then Payne and Blaker say, well, guess what? We know that people, when they're going to go commit a crime, they leave their phone elsewhere or they shut it off, right? So then they say, based on my training experience that this is subjects will avoid, so they're going to shut it off or, you guys, where are you showing that there's any connection? Like, you just randomly picked out a vehicle? Like, truly think about where we're at right now. You would have had to do this with all of these people that had white Elantras. You remember me telling you guys that? unless this truly wasn't queried the right way, and here's your list of everybody on campus that had this, and let's look into who all these people are, then that tells you that your investigation, you really weren't like looking into who had white Honda Elantras. You weren't going down the list to see, okay, here, let's eliminate all the females. And we'll come back to them because we don't think that a chick did this. Because she said that she saw a guy with bushy eyebrows, right? So then the next thing that we're going to eliminate is we're going to eliminate all the girls that drive the vehicles on campus. Let's look at the guys. And let's look at guys that are, anybody that's not 5'8" or taller, we'll come back to, right? Remember me telling you guys how you would narrow this down? You know how long that would take? Get the fuck out of here. So then he says, I know numerous occasion suspect will survey the area, depending on the. So this is what he says. No connection to any of these victims, nothing. Then he says, well, on December 23, so now the 23rd. So now on December 23, Payne applied for and was granted a search warrant for the historical phone records between November 12th and November 14th. The question is, how the fuck did you get that search warrant? How did you get that search warrant without using IgG? Hey, there's a kid that's a PhD student. He's just a complete fucking weirdo. And we just now look on. So here we go. Okay, from this time to this time, approximately 24 hours preceding. Okay. Then nothing. Do you see how it doesn't say anything? It just then says on December 23rd, pursuant to that search warrant, Payne received records for this. From those records indicated that this phone is subscribed to Brian Klober at an address here. And the second account has been, and the account has been open since this date. These records also included historical cell sites. Okay. So then after receiving this information, MPD, which is Payne, consulted with Nick Balance on December 23rd. So again, he puts in for this warrant, and it was West Coast time, 10 o'clock in the morning, 10:28, something like that. So basically he applies, he gets it from Megan, and then he has to go submit it to AT&T, and it goes in at 10:28 in the morning. But on East Coast time, you guys, that is then 1:28 in the morning, or in the afternoon then when Payne and these pricks gave us the return on that search warrant, they didn't provide us with, here, I'll share it with you guys. They didn't provide us with the timestamps of when it was actually returned by, here, I'll show you. Idaho, yes. God, okay, here we go. AT&T. Okay. All right, let's take a look. Here's your AT&T warrant. This is the one that they first served. But look at what they did with these dates and times. Is this the first one? Motion to seal. That was to seal the warrant. Okay. Okay, right here. Okay. Do you see right here? It says at approximately 10:28, and you see how it doesn't have AM or PM there? Making sure you guys can see it on your. I'll just make it bigger. This is when I broke all these down. Okay. And then remember how when Payne testified and Mowry testified, look at, and he said that he never opened them. Watch. A copy here too, this 23rd day, December. And then this is Payne's writing. I'm telling you, that's his little signature. So he served it. Then right here. Where's the application for it? Hold on 1 second. So when he got this back, when it says on this day, Lawrence Mowry received an email from AT&T, which contained the request information, he basically just forwarded it to Payne and didn't like look into it. And he didn't look at him. He just sent them. I want to show you though this time when he would have, where is Megan signing for this at? Hold on. Is that just to close it? Okay. So then all the way down here, it's a little further. I, Brett Payne. Okay, here it is. I, Brett Payne. That was sworn. That wasn't coming back. So on the 23rd day of December at approximately 10:28 a.m., the following peace officer served the search warrant here to issuing and upon this day. So guys, remember 10:28 a.m., but they left it off. That is equivalent to 1:28 p.m. East Coast, right? And then they get it back, but they're very, like, they won't say when they got it back. But hold on. We're going to go further. Here's a search warrant. Brett Payne, having given me proof upon oath that this day showing probable cause establishing grounds for issuing a search warrant and probable cause to believe property consists of certain evidence, and ready, all consumer subscriber, including any listed, blah, blah, blah. And then the date, call detail records. Right there. And then right here, cell site information, cell site locations. But take a look at the time. Please provide this, please provide this information to Brett Payne at blank in digital format on a compact disc in Excel, PDF, or text format. Okay. Now, ta-da, the 23rd, this is when she signs it, the 10:03 a.m. And then it's turned around and it is served at 10:28. Okay, 10:03 they obtain it, and then it's served to AT&T at 10:28. They asked Brett Payne when they got this returned back because they left it all out. It's not here. We don't have it. When did you get it back? When did you get it back so that we know, okay, you guys got it back. So that means you finally got the records, because you said AT&T got you these records on the 23rd. Well, what time? Because then you had to take that information that you got and you had to pump it in like Cy Ray testified to, right? What he testified to is that if you know what the fuck you're doing, even, and you want to like make sure that you're accurate, this is 3 hours is the bare minimum that this would take you to do. So, remember, East Coast time. Now, I want to know if you send me a search warrant and it's after 5 o'clock on my time in the East Coast. So that means that you would have to send this to me. Like, how am I, I'll get to it tomorrow because I would have already left for the day. Or, hey, no, we're sending it this, and those people just work around the clock. So are these people like, but the reason this testimony is so vital is because basically we learned that y'all are fucking liars. If he's testifying, this would at least take you 3 hours. And remember, Ann said, well, you'll admit that it was really quick that you got it back, right? Because what time did you get the first one? And that's when he says, well, when we got that first one back, I started writing up the second one. You started writing up the second one for what? You don't even know. You have no fucking clue what's going to come back on that until you put it in and then decipher until you sit down and you really look at it, decipher it all up. You're over there writing it like you know what's going to come back, or regardless of what comes back, we're going to make it fit. Do you guys see that? They didn't plug in the information and then go look at it. And that's why Ann is saying, what did you rely on to get the second warrant? So you went and said that this is all matches up. You lied because it doesn't match up. And that's where Ray is coming in. And that's why, it's making sense when people say, oh, he's just stargazing here, blah, blah. No. Y'all are placing Brian Kohlberger with a phone in a car, and it's not him. It's because it's not his. Now, why I can say that is because you got a expert that's going to come in who does not have to do anything of the sort to be like, why the fuck would he want to get involved with this shit? You know what I mean? Like, I don't, it's kind of like for me, like, what was I thinking to get involved with the Chris Watts case? But wait a second. Clearly I think he was approached and it's just like, wait, yeah, no, that's not how, like, just like what Ann did with the fucking IGG shit. Like, no, that's not how that works. And you can't, the FBI would have to show their work. So where is it that they use the loophole? Otherwise, where's your $700? Where's your receipts? Where's your receipts that that's how you did it? Okay. So you were able to get to Brian's DNA because you put it in with what? With all these other kits that are government. You've opted out of them. Like, hey, we're not going to be in any of these police law enforcement shit. But we put Brian Kohlberger's name in as not a perp, not a law enforcement kit. And that's how we beat the little loophole that you could do. And that's why you had people like Vargas and these other people testifying to say, this is how you would do it. And this is how they caught the Golden State Killer this way. CeCe Moore. She fucking, it's out there. It's in an article. Okay. That they used it this way. Anyways, so y'all did that. Then you get to this part of it. And then y'all are making up records that don't exist. You're making up casts. You're saying that casts can put here, we're going to say that it's pinging here, and it does not. But more importantly, what did you use? What the fuck did y'all say? And how quickly did you say all this to write up this? And that's why Ann said, where'd you get this language? If you don't know anything about phones, where'd you get this language from? And he's like, well, yeah, no, I don't know anything about the phone. I had help writing it. And that's when he had to say, he put it on the FBI. Payne put it on the FBI. That the FBI helped me do this. The FBI, after consulting with them and showing them, because you heard him testify, I don't know what any of this shit means. So then here we go back to this. I'll check this out. So then they went out and got, ready? This. They then went out and got, as this return's coming back, which is coming back, I'm telling you guys, it's so like fast that they did this. They then decide that, hey, we're going to write up another, which we don't have this one. We're going to write up another search warrant. Right after I get this return, we're going to write up another one without knowing anything that it says. And we said on December 23rd, pursuant to that warrant, yes, these records indicate that this describer, blah, blah. These records also included historical cell site location information. And after receiving this information, MPD consulted with an FBI special agent. Where does it say that we then, so Payne applied for and was granted a search warrant for this, for historical phone records between November. Then where does it say that he applied for a second one? On December 23rd, pursuant to that search warrant. Pursuant to that search warrant. Pursuant to that search warrant, Payne received records for for AT&T. These records indicated. Then I consulted with an FBI cast for that time, for just this time. Then the cast field agent said that when I consulted with his over 15 years, which includes 6. Okay, great. They were able, that's how he says it, from information provided by cast. So from information provided by cast, look at how this is worded. From information provided by cast, investigators, as that's plural. Okay, they're going to be this is why Anne's asking this shit. Investigators, plural, were able to determine estimated locations for this phone, his phone, from this time to this time. On November 13th at approximately 2:42 a.m., that phone, so think about this now. They lied. They lied. So when they want to say at 2:42, this phone was utilizing cellular resources that provide coverage to this area. Think about what that means. That means now you have to remember what Cy said. Cy's saying, well, Mowry says we didn't use a tower. We didn't use any of the cell site towers. Like we didn't even have that list. We didn't get that. Where did it come from? Where did your cell tower come? Where did that list come from? Who gave you this list? Because you didn't get it from AT&T because it did not come back in the search warrant, right? So, and he's like, they're like, I have no idea what the fuck you're even talking about right now. We didn't use a list. I don't know what the fuck you're talking about, right? When they want to say that it's consistent with Brian Kohlberger being at that address, do you understand that that's incorrect? So, I mean, he could be there, but he could also be in this whole radius here, over here, because the cell towers do what? Like if I'm on this, there's other things that you would have done as well. Like, so then, it's consistent with that. And then approximately this time, the phone utilized cellular resources that provided coverage southeast. Consistent with what? Well, guess what? Remember that I told you guys to go find a vehicle that was in that area? Okay. So you have to really ask yourself, when did you start really looking at the WSU videos? Because now we need to find a vehicle that's white during now this time. But you already had it. Can you fucking believe this? That's when you all would have went to start looking at this stuff. But oh wait, they already had his name. Then they said, okay, the phone, then it says the phone stops reporting to the network. What the fuck does that mean? Which is consistent with either the phone being in an area without cellular coverage, the connection to the network is disabled, such as putting the phone in airplane mode, or that the phone is turned off. But can it mean something else? Can it mean that it's communicating to like a different tower? I can't wait to hear some stuff about this. So basically this is the information they get back before they have to go and get that second one, right? So okay. And remember this. His phone was not anywhere in the area from the time of the murders, right? Off of that cell tower. So they would have seen like, holy shit, okay, his phone is communicating. His phone's communicating. Holy shit, guys, it's over here. Like, how are we going to overcome this? Because it's not, so you were banking on the fact that, hey, criminals leave their fucking shit at home. Criminals won't take a cell phone with them. And now here you're fucked because it's like, okay, wait, his cell phone is moving and it's active. So that kind of blows up your 3 to 5 to say, well, it wasn't. So how can we fucking make this all work? Because wouldn't this start telling you that this isn't your guy with how you're trying to go about this? Wouldn't this have somehow like stopped at that point to say, you know, fuck his phone, whoever this fucking kid is he's all the way over here. He's all the way over here. All right, well, then we're going to have to make him have a different route home. We're going to have to make him have a different... What? Like, wait, what are you talking about? Think about this. Think about what they would have been saying to themselves. Okay, yeah, he couldn't have gone straight home then. He couldn't have gone straight home because he's over here doing all this crazy-ass shit. And, well, how are we going to do that? Like, wouldn't you have looked at this and been like, okay, wait, this dude is not over here. He's over here. Well, how can we make this work? And we still have to go get that second warrant to be able to get historical, like, outside of that 24 hours. So what the fuck did you all say to get that, those historical records? And you lied. You lied. Y'all lied. You guys lied. That's like... And so here it is. And so why would you lie? Think about it. Why the fuck would you lie? Why wouldn't it just be like, this isn't our guy? Or like, wouldn't you think about it for a minute? Wouldn't you be like, all right, let's just fucking think about this. We'll come back and I'll see, hey, get some fucking, like, we'll get some food. Go have your Christmas Eve. Go have your Christmas Day. Okay. We'll be back here on the 26th. All right. No, they didn't. They didn't look at this and say, okay, what the fuck is going on here? This is supposed to be our guy. How the fuck are we? I mean, maybe I'm missing something. Well, here, let me make some other phone calls. Let me get some, like, let's really think about how this. Isn't that what you would normally do in an investigation? You'd like break this down with your team. Like he's saying, oh, he was just 30 feet next to me. And wouldn't you be like, oh, what the hell? Shit, do you think he gave his phone to somebody and he really didn't have a phone? So maybe somebody else had his phone? Like, what the fuck? But now think about this. Think about this. They didn't do that. They didn't say like, God, okay, we'll come back. We'll come back tomorrow. Let's figure, let me sleep on this. Let me talk to some people. They didn't do that. Instead, like Payne says, well, as we were getting that return back, I'm starting to write up the second warrant. Why? Why aren't you, hey, think about this. Payne's a 2-year, how long has he been with the fucking force? Okay. Payne's that comfortable to just fucking flat out, I don't give a fuck. I'm going to do whatever I want and lie. And right off the rip and do this in such a fast time. No one's gonna ever believe that we even looked at these records to even pump in anything. Okay. But then when somebody does, we're really gonna be in trouble. Versus why wouldn't you just come back on even the 24th, 25th, like, hey, it's the holidays. Like, I'm gonna work through them. Payne doesn't fucking have kids, whatever. What the fuck are you doing? Why'd you do this? Why did you do this? What are you doing? Why did you do this? And let's see what they write. Let's see what they say. They say that we're going to go ahead and say that, okay, phone stops reporting to the network, which is consistent with either this. Then it says that this phone does not report to the network again until approximately 4:48 a.m. And that's funny. Okay. At which time it utilized cellular resources that provided coverage to Idaho State Highway 95 South. Do you remember when Ann Taylor was asking him about this? Now you're saying that Brian wasn't driving on 95? Remember that? Brian wasn't. Wait, why didn't you go? Why did you only get? What are you doing? So I'm trying to make it so that when you go back and listen to Ann Taylor question and why she's questioning certain things, this is why. She's going off of this. Okay, so here we go. Well, this is the PCA. This is how they're wording it. Well, then until approximately 4:48 a.m., at which time it utilized cellular resources provided. This is, and then that's, remember where he says, he's like, well, yeah, no, it's because it's the town south of Genesee. Well, what? Between 4:50 and 5:26 a.m., the phone utilizes cellular resources that are consistent with the phone traveling south on ID State Highway 95 to this, and that's not where it was. Then traveling west towards this, and then north, and approximately at 5:30 a.m., guess what? The phone is utilizing resources that provide coverage to Pullman. But you just said the fucker went straight home. You just said he went straight home. Remember? So he didn't go straight home, right? Now, where are we at? And so this is all the stuff that they have to make up, right? And oh my God, then we have the white car. And then we're going to say, okay, that car is this car. That's the 700 car block. Then we have this car here, 700 block. It just says it's boop. And then it just disappears after Walenta. And then guess what? It must have went this way. And then because at 4:48, it's here. And now it's here. And now we have 5 cameras that we're showing it come back in through the way they're trying to say, right? This is what they are saying. And then at approximately 5:30, that's the phone. And then we're able to put the phone and this white car together. Okay. And putting the phone and the white car together is what got you your motherfucking warrants. And guess what? That's not true. The phone and the white car are not together, never once, not happening. And y'all lied and you knew it. And so what do you think is going to happen? Is Judge going to be like Bev and say, no, that's okay. We're not going to preserve. You know what? I said to put a preservation and a hold on those people's phones. But guess what? After everything that you showed me, it's not good enough to get Brian Alberts' phone records. It's not good enough to get this. Are you kidding me? After everything that we've seen, you don't think that these witnesses are like, why don't we have Brian and Higgins's and all these people's phone records and the imaging and all this stuff? Well, because Bev shut it down. Bev denied the efforts made and put forth, which you would think that we're providing you with all of this shit. Here, and you don't think that this is for good, to show good cause? You don't think that what we just witnessed in that courtroom is good? Hello. How about this? Have you guys ever heard in a court, in a trial, say like, hey, we want a motion now for Brian Albert's phone records. We want his historical phone records. We want everything. So then here we are. Well, so based on a review of the phone's estimated locations and travel, this phone is phone's travel is consistent with that of the white Elantra. And you're placing the white Elantra at the crime scene. And his phone is not consistent with the white Elantra. His phone is actually opposite of it. Okay. So but that's what they just told the judge, is that, holy shit, look at this. Those phone movements. And now remember what I asked you guys, how many data points do you think that they provided? How many data points do you think that they provided? Because I'm going to tell you how many I think. I think it's going to be like the bare minimum. The bare minimum. You want to know why? Because they're fucking inept. And they knew that they were wrong. And you can't show a bunch of shit because then it's going to be like... How did you obtain your search warrants? We lied. We lied. We lied. Okay, so then what? Well, then what would happen here? And remember, they said like they didn't use anything from the IG. Like, this whole fucking warrant proves to me that you used the IGG, because none of it makes any sense. None of it makes any sense. Because it's not how you got to Brian Kohlberger. There's no connection. He has no connection to any of those victims. So how are you doing this? How are you doing this without saying that, yes, Brian Kohlberger's DNA was on that sheath? And then from there, we worked backwards. Because guess why, guys? Guess why you can't say that? Because you can't say that in order to get a search warrant. That's why. You guys know what this is about to... Do you guys understand what's about to happen? This case is going to dismantle. Dismantle. What? What is this case going to dismantle? What happened when DNA popped off and all you motherfuckers that are corrupt as shit railroaded all these black dudes? Okay, got them to say that they were guilty. Got them to confess the shit that they never did, right? Right? And then what happened? DNA came out, right? And then DNA, what? Exonerated, or like the use of that. Okay, so the Innocence Project was able to do what? All of these cases back with all this DNA shit. Oh, come back. Let's go. We're going to test all this shit. Boom. You're out. You're out. You're out. Right? So now look at this. You're any case that would involve who and what? It's who's this Nick Balance guy? Who's this motherfucking Payne guy? Y'all, like Moscow Police Department, Idaho State Police, and the FBI all worked in concert. And Payne was up there like I don't know who I don't know who was on. I couldn't tell you who was on command. Who was part of excuse me? You don't know what FBI agents you were working with in the biggest case of your whole entire life? I would know where everything in this case was if it was my case. Fuck, it's not my case. I know where it's at. In my house, all the shit I have. But he wasn't coughing up names for a reason. Because he's scared. I wouldn't be coughing up names either. That Nick Balance guy just testified in the Chad Daybell case. And I swear to God, if your fucking asses are going to give people like Chad fucking Daybell another fucking go round or a fucking free hall pass to get out of fucking jail in prison, you guys are sick. Oh my God, 20 memberships. I just saw that. Woohoo! Who's all green, baby? Green, baby. You guys, this is going to dismantle. This is going to dismantle. You get a membership. You get a membership. Everybody gets a membership. You guys, none of this happened this way. And when a jury sees all of this, There's things that you can't get past. And then you just have to ask yourself, well, are we going to suppress shit or are we going to keep it in there because we want to do what Karen Reed just did and say, fuck no. These solo cups and all this shit, it's staying right here because we're going to show how fucking inept. We're going to show this is what y'all did. Because think about that. That would never. And then like John's clothing that just sat around, all of these pieces that they're non-existent until given to the lab until March 14th. There is no chain of custody from January 29th to March 14th. Are you kidding me? We don't know where any of this shit is in the Karen Reed case. And you would think that everyone's gonna be like, hey, well, we're gonna just go get that suppressed, right? Or you could do it this way. Doop. And if you do it that way, then we have an opportunity to show, X, Y, and Z, which a jury can get behind. Okay. And then if I can show you that the FBI did all of this fucking bullshit to railroad and get this man, then how much weight are you going to have on a placed sheath with touch DNA, with touch DNA that y'all want to act like you guys couldn't get any of Brian Kohlberger's DNA, okay, and that you had to wait till he went all the way to Pennsylvania to get. Now I see why I think y'all did that. Because the normal way to go about to prove that if your sample matches what you have, hey, who do you think our person is? Okay, we have to go get that DNA to test it. You don't go and get parents. You don't go and get siblings. That's not what you do. That's not protocol. That's not how that works. And then you would have no idea what garbage if you just go and get someone's garbage, okay, I have all of this garbage. You have no idea who's anybody's anything. So how many things were tested and what was I'm just so curious about that. But none of it came back that it was Brian. So none of Brian, and that's saying, oh, because he was separating his trash. Man, fuck all the way off. Y'all are so full of shit. And you know what sucks is that maybe he was, but we can't believe you because you all did this shit. And no one's going to believe with the fucking sheath who has no blood in a bed of fucking two people that were brutally murdered. And this doesn't have any other source DNA. Nothing. Except on the brass buckle button is touch DNA. Wait, and who? Oh, we gave it to the lab, Idaho, but then they hurried up and said, no, the FBI is going to work on it. Okay, so then we just sent it over to them. Okay. And then the FBI is going to what? Oh, wait, do this cast and then do this. And then, figure out that that's car. Like, the FBI needs a huge win. And so I hope to God they take down fucking the Massachusetts State Police and gives themselves some props because they're going to get blown up on this case. This is bad. And I think it's going to all of it's going unless the FBI comes in and says, I didn't fucking help this prick. I have no idea what he did. I wasn't even there. I wasn't even at Moscow Police Department on the 23rd. I was texting with him. Excuse me? Do you understand what's going to happen here? Either the FBI is going to say that, or they're going to say that. Remember when Cyrus was being asked? He was asked. I think the question was, well, do you think that this was inept work? I know who these names are, and they're well trained and they know what they're doing. No, I don't think that they don't know how to run a gladiator, whatever the fucking machine was. Remember all that shit? No, I don't know why they would only do a test for 3 minutes. No, I don't know. Like that's not, that doesn't sound like them. Remember that part of that testimony? So then you can look at it this way. Is the FBI going to come out and say nope, we're not here to save your guys' asses. We didn't do anything like that. You asked me some questions. I don't even have no idea what the fuck you did. And that's why Ann Taylor said, well, who helped you on these search warrants? Who helped you write this? Because you don't know any. Oh, yeah, no. balance. If you go back and you listen to Payne's testimony, Payne is putting this on one person, and he's putting it on the guy that just testified in the Chad Daybell case. And I thought it was interesting that Ann brought up their text messages. Ann shows Payne, and he's like, does this refresh memory? I don't recall that. And she's like, what? You guys introducing yourselves? He's like, no. Wait, y'all just introduced yourselves on December 23rd? And then Payne testified that, well, he was just 30 feet from me. Like, we were working there. He's there on that day. Like, he was posting up there that day. Okay, well, then I have to go back to this. Why didn't you all just do it the right way? Hey, we're going to come back on the 24th, or here, it is Christmas Eve. It is Christmas Day. We'll come back on the 26th. None of them worked on Thanksgiving, because if you go and you look at the docket with the days, like, they didn't put out a presser, but then the day after Thanksgiving, there's 10 new pieces. 10 new pieces put in evidence. It went from 103 to 113. I talked to you guys about that DNA, or the hair, and the FBI and what ended up happening there. And I think that there's other ways that are way more efficient. And I think that as like life moves forward, in technology and yada, 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 I bet you there was a lot of other things that could have been done. I don't know why it wasn't. Okay. I don't. And I don't know, with a sense of urgency to literally fuck up all of this. And then there's only one thing that makes sense. They knew that it didn't match, and they railroaded him. You know what they say in life, and I think Bob Mata will even agree with me, because I know Bella would agree with me, is the biggest frame jobs happen when you're trying to add more evidence onto somebody that's guilty. I don't know if that's this type of a case. I don't know if, because I look at the Karen Reed case, and Karen Reed is, the only thing that she is guilty of is the same thing that John was guilty of. Okay. Whatever the fuck he did in Aruba, she was trying to get back at him to make him jealous. And so she was flirting with Higgins, and took it to, I think that she even realized that, okay, I was just trying to, holy shit, like, and then literally the unthinkable happened. So then you have to ask yourself, in this case, I don't know. I don't have the evidence. I don't have the discovery, but I can just tell you that you want me to believe that after all the things that you're fucking around with, but you want me to believe, but he's really the guy. Well, nothing that you have shows me that he's the guy. What shows me that he's the guy is all of your guys' fudge fabricated bullshit. And so that would make me, as a juror, if it would even get to that point, because if all of this gets thrown out, if it's, a Frank's hearing, fuck shit. What did you guys supply the grand jury? This shit? Well, this shit's fucking, this is all, y'all committed mass motherfucking you guys, these are sworn affidavits. I think that they should go to prison for this. They should go to jail for this. This is murder, and you're lying under oath. And so that the more that we get advanced with stuff, it's like, it's outing and it's catching people. But guess who it's also catching? It's catching fucking bad cops. It's catching shitbags. They want to say, oh my God, DNA is such a great, look at all these innocent people that we were able to, exonerate. It's like, back on up. Somebody that was a shitbag that knew the shit didn't work and fit, like, they're the reason that people like that were in there. Like, we got to get this confession. We got to, blah, blah, blah. Like, I don't know how people could live with themselves if you knowingly put somebody in prison for something that you know that they did not do. How the fuck does somebody sleep? You want to talk? I mean, think about it. That's insanity. That to me is that like I could never, but it happens every fucking day. Every fucking day. That's why we got to start paying our cops better. Get better quality people in there, pay them better, and then that type of shit won't happen because you're gonna it's like I don't want the people that want to be cops or like, hey, I guess I'll go to the police academy because I didn't fucking go to college or I got to do something or like I don't want those people protecting us, protecting our kids. I want people that want to be there, and I want people that I think go get your criminal justice degree. I don't think we should have idiots, I don't think we should have power tripping fools. I don't think going and doing something, it's kind of like the army, military, like you're going to go and literally put yourself on the line every day because people are bigger idiots who are shooting at cops and trying to kill cops. And like, that's insanity. But they're risking their lives. Right. So how aren't, we paying them? I think people that go to they should get paid. I mean, come on, how are we not taking care of people when they come back from going and fighting for our country and fighting for us? We come back and how is this so fucked up? It's wild. It's wild. I don't even know that answer. No wonder why Payne and Fry kept saying, I don't even know that. Because they didn't, guys. They didn't have any answers. They knew nothing about this case until the name Brian Kohlberger came. But yet all they were doing is literally saying that none of these people have anything to do with, we could hoodie guys off, roommates are fine, this person didn't do it, what are you people doing? And that's all we heard is, I don't even know that answer, but guess what? None of these people did it. So I just look at this and I'm like, okay, so then what'd y'all do next? Well, then we just lied and we said that this all matched up. But then they went as far as to say this then too. Then they said that wasn't enough. Then they said it approximately, further review indicated that the 8454 phone utilized cellular resources on November 13th that was consistent with, because Brian Kohlberger then just went and drove. He just drove on over to the scene again just to check it out that next morning, right? Look at. It's consistent with the area of the Kohlberger residence and then, leaving and traveling. And then specifically, the phone utilized cellular resources that would provide coverage to King Road at 9:12. I'm telling you, to be able to get there to there, you are flying, mofo. And then at 9:21, it was utilizing between 9:12 and 9:21. So that stayed then in the area to just take a look and be like, holy shit, how was her? Oh my God, where are the cops? Why aren't the cops here? Okay, I guess, I don't know, maybe I killed everybody. Maybe I killed everybody. Maybe I killed everybody, and that's why the cops aren't here yet, because maybe I killed everybody. Okay, let me ask you guys this. Ready? If and in fact Brian Kohlberger went back to the scene, then where is the Ring camera footage from the morning showing that he drove by in between this time? Where's any camera footage that you could have caught him coming in? Okay. Is there any camera footage that shows this car just coming in at that? You would have went out and preserved, come on, we can show that he came back to the scene. That's got to be great, right? No, let's see what the next page says. The next page says that, that then we can just say that he's back back at his apartment by 9:32. Again, I think that that's just wild timing. You're flying. I was there, I know. And then it says, then it just jumps to this after that. Then it just says, below is a depiction, not to scale, of the possible route taken based off of cellular, and then that's what Payne testified to. He's like, I said this was a possible route. This, and then look at this map, and this is what he's like, oh, I don't even know. She's like, yeah, look at that. Yeah, it's bad, isn't it? But wait, this is a possible route. And then it says this. Just like, I'm just throwing that in there. Investigators found the 8455 phone did connect to a cell tower that provided service on the 14th, but investigators do not believe that the phone was in Moscow on that date. Excuse me? Why? Why wouldn't you believe that? You believe all this other shit, but now here, you know what? We don't believe that it's there. Well, why not? What's the issue then? Was it because you know that Brian Kober was teaching classes and he wasn't out and about? But where's your Sunday morning footage? Where's the Ring camera motherfucking footage from the morning of, between 9 and 9:30? And then how about even go off of any business in that area and find footage of that car coming back? And it's not in the PCA. But they've had all this time to continue investigating, so maybe it's surfaced because they're like, okay, we need more shit. All this shit's going to get thrown out, so maybe we can go and pinpoint Brian Kober being there in the morning. So let's go and see if we can get different warrants, and we'll say different things so that we can see, well, who's going to have 2 years later any camera footage? Well, we did it a little bit earlier because we knew that we really fucked up, so we went and tried to get it earlier. No. Mm-mm. And then what happened? Then they said, okay, so based on my training and experience, the facts of the investigation thus far, I believe that the Kober user was likely the driver of the white Elantra that is observed departing Pullman. Additionally, the route of travel of the 8454 phone during the early morning hours of November 13, 2022, and the lack of that phone reporting to AT&T between 2:47 and 4:48 a.m. is consistent with Kober attempting to steal. So this is what they claim, that it was not reporting. Okay. So based on that, it was not reporting. And that's what's now. So that's what everything that they said leading up to then. Okay. This is how we're providing it in a nice package. So they weren't able to show that Brian Kober. So think about this. They made no attempts to show that he went back the next morning or look at some Ring camera footage or anything. And instead, whatever they supplied, it would have been up to this point because they said that, boom, now here we go. On December 23rd. So think about this. So all that stuff that I just talked about, now we're finally getting to December 23rd's second search warrant. I was granted a search warrant for Kohlberger's historical from June 23rd to current. And it was for the purposes for prospective location information. They wanted to know where he was in real time right then and there. And a pen, register, trap, and trace on the 845. And then they put we want to follow, like, where's he going? Where's he at? And then this is when Cyray testified and said, I don't know why you would need to go and do this when you already know where he's at. What do you already know where he's at? So none of this makes any sense. Like, no, and then no, and then into an aid in efforts to determine if Kohlberger stalked any of the victims in this case prior to the offense, conducted surveillance. How the fuck does hitting a motherfucking tower say that you conducted motherfucking surveillance? Are you kidding me? So, wow, that is something. And then what does it say? I was in contact with any of the victims. You have all of the victims' phones. Does any of the victims' phones calling this number? Like, what are you talking about? You have the victims' phones. Can't you get that information from the victims' phones to see, like, okay, here's the, yeah, no, that, they didn't, that phone didn't do it. No, this phone didn't do it. That phone didn't do it. This phone, hey, now we got the survivors. Let's see if their phones. Wouldn't you be able to get that from their phones? Kohlberger wasn't on nobody's fucking Wi-Fi. Promise, mouse gotcha. That's telling you. When you hear Ann Taylor say the words "no ties," she means no ties. Nothing tying Brian Kohlberger to any of these victims. Nada, nothing. Whoop. And they knew it. And they knew it. They knew it. So, was in contact with any of the victims associated before or after the alleged offense. Any locations that may contain evidence of the murders that occurred. The location of the white Elantra registered to Kohlberger as well as location of Kohlberger. Excuse me? We need this because we need the location of Kohlberger on December 23rd. You're joking, right? You guys, they know exactly where he's at because they told us about it. They know that he was in and traveled through Colorado. They know that he traveled through Indiana. They know that he's at his parents' for Christmas. Lana, say it with me. Those mofos. You like that? So they know all of this. And so doesn't a judge say, wait a second, but so you're doing, you don't know where he's at? So they lied. They lied. They lied. Flat out lied. Okay, so on December 23rd, the pursuant to the search warrant, to that search warrant, investigators received historical records from the time the account was opened. After consulting with CAST again, investigators were able to determine estimated locations for the 8458 phone. Again, the time period authorized by the court, the records for the 845 shows that what, guys? It shows that the cellular records that provided coverage to the 1122 King Road on at least 12 occasions prior to November 13th, all of those occasions, except for one, occurred in the late evening and early morning hours of their respective days. One of these occasions, look at this. One of these occasions, on August 21st, 2022, guess what? He was utilizing resources providing coverage to the King Road residents for approximately from 10:34 p.m. to 11:35 p.m. At approximately 11:37, guys, Brian Kohlberger is getting pulled over. Pull over. No, it's a cardigan. It's a cardigan. Pull over. No, it's cardigan over here, man. And then Kohlberger was stopped by Latesville County Deputy Duke and mentioned above. As mentioned above, the 845 phone was utilizing cellular resources consistent with the location of the traffic stop during. So listen to that. Do you know what that means? That means where he was with this traffic stop, which is where all the shops are. That is consistent with if you're over there, then you're sharing that same that tower that 112. Are you kidding me? People come from Pullman to go over there shopping and vice versa. Wild. And then yeah, pull up right here. Farm road and then why haven't they dropped that? Like, why is that body cam? Like, what? Turtle Boy plus Lana equals effing epic. We should vote for a collab. What's up, Molly? Girl, what you doing? A collab this. I'm about to chug my last beer. Oh, you know what? I usually, because I try to spit all this information out. Like, everybody wants to know whatever, like, what truly happened at that hearing with Cyree and Payne. You guys, it's over. It's literally over. And it's just a matter of if, God bless America, if Brian truly did this, or God bless America, like, and I want to say the words goddamn, because if he didn't do it versus if he did, because the opposite's going to happen. Like, if he did it, I believe he's going to walk. If he didn't do it, they tried to railroad an innocent man. Nada of which is good. And how can you trust anybody when they're going to do this? Further analysis of the cellular data provided shows that 845 utilized cellular resources, blah, blah, blah. And then, hey, because I was like, what does this have anything to do with Brian getting anything? Because you're able to say, like, oh, we saw him go get a cup of Joe. Because this is them trying to show, like, hey, that our cast is right. Well, listen, no, it's not. It's consistent with the phone traveling from Pullman, Washington to Lewiston. You didn't do anything with cast. It's just, this is where it popped up and this is where it, and then at approximately 12:36, utilized cellular resources, which would have provided coverage to Kate's Cup of Joe coffee stand. And oh, we were able to see surveillance footage. Now, let me truly ask you guys a question. What's the date of that? The next day? Out of all the places there, do you think that it was just popping up that, like, it'd been, like, there would have been multiple places? How many video surveillance cameras did they say that they got in this case? Because there would have to be a couple that they would have got in this area, because I don't think it's going to be like, yeah, it's at. Because especially if he parked in that back lot, because you could go to a bunch of different places over there. Because he didn't go into Kate's Cup of Joe. He went into the U.S. chef store located, like, and it's like, drive past Kate's Cup of Joe at a time consistent with the cellular data from the 8548 phone. But what if this is, and they're saying that they have him on camera there, right? Do they show that they have him on camera? Here it is. At approximately 12:46 p.m., then they utilized the grocery store. And guess what? We're able to get surveillance from the Alberts showed Kohlberger exit the white Elantra, consistent with suspect vehicle 1 at approximately 12:49 p.m. Interior surveillance camera showed Kohlberger walk through the store, purchase unknown items at the checkout. How do you not know what they were? They must have not been relevant, because you would just go and get the freaking receipt. Like, all those grocery stores have all, hey, he's probably using a scan card. What did this bastard buy? Because I think that it would be relevant if, especially if he was, I don't know, buying killerish shit. Brian Kohlberger is buying killer shit. Just, I don't know, maybe he was buying something to put the freaking knife in. I don't know. But clearly, maybe we'll know one day, maybe we won't. So then what happened? Do you guys think it's weird that we don't know to this day what Brian Kohlberger has ever done in his life? Like, truly, like, what did he do 24 hours before the murders? Like, what was he doing all day? Was it just like a typical day for Brian? Was it like a, oh my God, what does Cass tell us he was doing? Why don't they talk about that at all? Just a fucking another day. I can tell you this, whatever he's doing definitely doesn't help their case, because you would be talking about it, right? Then Then they want to say that this is like additional analysis records. Like, should we believe any of this shit? It just shows that, okay, hey, guess what? From 532 to 536, he's utilizing, okay, great. And then his phone stops reporting to the network from approximately 536 to 8:30. That is consistent with the 845 phone being the area that the 845 phone traveled in the hours immediately following the suspected time. Well, that's funny because y'all put in a warrant or y'all put in a PCA to go straight to his house, right? Right after the murders, because you believe that he went straight there and that there would be, blood, DNA, all this stuff because of him, trace. But yet here you're saying that he went back to the same location and that he didn't have service from this time to this time. Did y'all at least check in the area that you think that this man was for just God knows how long to see if there's a fucking murder weapon buried? Wouldn't you take out these? Hey, let's go. I mean, with everything that you're saying, this would be consistent with he went back to where he ever buried his knife. We don't have the murder weapon, right? Like, what the hell have y'all been doing for 2 years? If you've given this stuff to the FBI to like, can't you pinpoint where the fucker went to go and then go, I don't know, get some, metal detectors and get out there and start get in those rivers. Offer Brian a deal. Say, Brian, give us the knife. We'll give you 20 years. Tell us why you did it, where everyone's like, 20 years? What are you talking about? We're trying to kill him. We're shooting him. Well, I don't think anybody's going to be shooting anybody. I don't believe that this is going to be a capital case. I think Bill Thompson lost his capital case. Oh, God. Oh, thank you so much. I got a cash up here from Michelle. Woo, woo. What else? Thank you so much. God bless that beep. You guys know how nice Nashville was? I slept like a baby. Oh, shit. What do you guys think? Any questions? I'll finish it out here. So then they said that so then they say that he was immediately there. But then look at this. Then they say the King Road residence contained a significant amount of blood from the victims, including spatter and cast off. And the blood, blah, 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 blah. And then, which, based on my training, Kohlberger's person, based on the location of the suspect vehicle, and this immediately following the murders, it is probable that Kohlberger went home to his residence. Wait a second. I'm really confused because I thought you said that Brian Kohlberger was off driving off to the Genesee and wherever the hell else he went. And so then he wouldn't have gone right straight home. It says immediately. Phone immediately following the murders. It is probable that Kohlberger went home to his residence. Now he immediately went to his residence after the murders. But in the same paragraph before, you're saying that he was off. What the hell? I have no idea how anything was obtained. The victims or from, Kaylee's dog, it is likely, I don't even think, whatever. I don't even know. Doesn't Kaylee's dog not shed? I mean, I don't know. It is likely that some trace evidence was transferred to Aries. Now think about this. It's going to be like the Karen Reed case, you guys. The jury's going to be in there and they're going to wait here, say, okay, here, just like Jackson's doing right now. Did you find my client's DNA anywhere? Nope. So in Brian Kohlberger's vehicle, nothing. In his apartment, nothing. None of his clothes, none of this, nothing. Nothing tying him to nothing. Can you imagine hearing that when you're going to hear how much blood there was? And that this guy was such in a rush, just running out the place because he just totally didn't go and kill Dylan because he was like, I'm tired. I see you. But you know what? I just don't think you're going to call the police for like another 10 hours. So I'm okay and I'm out running everywhere, and then I strip down naked, like OJ Simpson did, right? I have to get complete, and then I do what? Then I fold up and put it in a bag because I left a bag right outside of my car that I tried to parallel park about 5 times. And I put everything in that bag, and now I'm naked. But then I realized, holy shit, wait, where's my sheath? I have my knife here. Holy shit. I didn't even think about my sheath because, you're just totally out of your mind because you just killed 4 people. Like, you're just blown, and you're like, you don't even realize that you even have a knife on you, So like when he would have been coming down or walking back or coming by Dylan, did Dylan see a knife? I'm so curious about that, because if he didn't have a pocket and he had these dickies on and whatever, where was this knife? Where did he just held it like this and like, and then wouldn't your knife be like, whatever. So then you get in your car and you fly out of there, and you're going so fast around that tight area, naked, mind you. Maybe he wore his boxers. Can you imagine? And then decides, you know what? I'm going to go way this way, naked poo, and drive around for an hour and 25 minutes. Well, 420. Yeah, about an hour and 5. I'll be back over there. I'll just watch, And then I'm going to get out of my car after I park it at my parking lot. I'm going to get out of my car in the dead of winter, almost in boxers or naked, and hope to God nobody sees me. Just like that. Which, of course, think about it. If all this time passes and it's only 7 weeks and you hear and you see his face and you're like, wait a second, I remember that fucking guy. He was wearing like nothing. I was coming home from my hit and run that I had. And I saw him, and he had like, I don't know, he had like tidy whities on. Okay. Like, that's, oh my God, I remember him. Thank you. Woo. Who's going green, baby? Going green, baby. Oh, yay. Almost baby time. You're on maternity leave. Yay, Paulette. Woohoo. Maternity leave for Paulette, baby. Throw those legs up, child. We're having a baby. So I was like all excited. I'm like, dude, give me that car. Let there be everything in there that we need. You know what I'm saying? And then it's not there. And then his apartment's not there. And then there's nothing. And then we find out he wasn't stalking the victims. He didn't know the victims. And then you have to think to yourself, okay, well, how many serial killers actually know their victims? We can start talking about that on a different live. But, and everybody just say, like, why that house? Why would anybody pick that house? And then what else do they say that happens then? Then they say, because this is to get into his apartment. One likely location for the clothes, mask, shoes. And then they want to say like that they're still looking for a sheath. That's what's crazy. Do you think that was a slip up? Do you think when they say like that we're still looking for a sheath, like it says one likely location is here, and while I believe Kohlberger is visiting family in Pennsylvania, so clearly, I mean, over the current break, I believe he intends to return for the start of next semester. So I expect his belongings to still be in his residence. To date, we have not recovered the weapon used in the homicides, which would indicate that he took it with him. Based on my training, the weapon will be likely contain trace evidence, and then again, it's going to be right there. And so it says one likely location for the weapon or any sheath. For any, what? Would be his residence. Now that's interesting to me. I thought the sheath was at the scene. Well, maybe he got a different sheath, and so he put that knife back into a different sheath that he just went out and bought, after he committed the murders. And that's just stupidity. But they say criminals aren't smart, so And based off of all of this, you're going to give me my search warrants. What else? So, and then, that's how they obtain. Like, they said that there's just going to be all that information there. Check this out. Based on ISP investigators' view of the apartment on December 27th, so December 27th, they were just chilling. Cheers. I know that it's a 3-story multiple occupancy. Kohlberger has been identified as the occupant of this apartment on leasing documents obtained via subpoena. They subpoenaed as part of this investigation. And so there you go. And so now when you go through all of this crap and you get to the end of it, you have to ask yourself, well, now if you take Castaway, what do you have? The answer is nothing. The answer is nothing. But now knowing that you lied about all of it, now what do you really have? Well, now you absolutely have nothing. Then let's say any receipt that you would have got out of the place. Let's say that Brian Kohlberger did buy overalls and coveralls and whatever else. Whatever is there, you're not, it's. So I don't know. So what do you guys think? Last 10 minutes, I'll take your guys's whatever you. I don't think if BK is or was the killer that he would have his murder weapon on him driving across country. You mean like, you don't think him and his dad talked and he was like, Dad, I don't know why you keep talking about that damn Brancapaca. Like, let's talk about what I just did in my white Honda Elantra that is being sought after on December 7th. Like, everybody was going nuts about that car. And his dad's just driving across country in a white Honda Elantra when the rest of the nation's like trying to hunt down a white Honda Elantra. Brian isn't really an overall type guy. You guys, I don't believe a word that any of these people say now. Lana, do you think they surveilled? No, I don't. I think that either he did it or they framed him. I think it's either a Karen Reed type of situation or, well, I think either way, Brian Kohlberger was railroaded. After hearing what I heard in Mallory's testimony, Payne's testimony, and then Cyray's testimony, it's like, why do you think that what's his name needed that to be? Why do you think Santa Claus was like, this needs to be a closed hearing? Excuse me? Can you imagine if that was a closed hearing? We would have never heard any of that, right? We would have never heard anything about that. And it's like, holy shit, if we didn't hear that, like, and I personally think that Ann Taylor went easy. I think she's holding back some cards. I mean, I would be too. If you see how they're playing and it's dirty, you got to be very strategic. Lana, do you think that the white car found crashed was involved? No, I don't. The one in Oregon, I don't. You guys, I'm telling you, they sent all of us, we flooded the fuck out of that line for them, and that's what they wanted and they needed. They knew it would happen. They knew exactly what would happen when they asked for that fucking car. They had the fucking car. But you want to know why? That's why I think Payne has to act like he didn't know that they had it, because it is that obvious that you flooded the fucking tip line. But if I say that I didn't know that you guys had already found it on November 29th, then I wouldn't have had to, then we didn't have to say that, So I think that that's why he has to stick with that story. And I think that they flooded their own tip line. My point is, when he arrived home, do you do a backlog from that moment of Brian Kober showing his, because at the end of the day, he didn't come home with any evidence. I found nothing. I think that there's numerous times where going forward with Brian Kohlberger is like a dead end in any normal other case. So why did they continue on with Brian Kohlberger past certain points? That's the question. Spot on. Shelley Wood says, great job on proving or providing the evidence I needed. Keep on going. Thank you so much. Choosing transparency, 2 adults and a 2-year-old child missing from Moscow. Really? That's horrible. Check your email about the broad powers of federal grand juries. 70 subpoenas whom? As this brought it up. The more that I think about what was going on with that, I'll tell you guys another day what I think was going on about that. Sherry says that I think that there were multiple perps and it was in retaliation. I'm going back and looking at some stuff from some of the earlier videos that I did in terms of the social media surrounding Kaylee and Maddie. I want to go back and take a look at their interactions again. You know, Kaylee had moved out. Why the fuck was Kaylee there? She had moved out. But why did she move out? Who moves in to a place knowing that they're gonna move out? You don't. Like, there was no. I believe that Kaylee could have worked remote. So, but I think that it's really important to maybe just take a look at that. I don't know about that. I don't know about that. I did a video because I was following their Venmos. I was following just to see their, what they would write to each other. And something that I noticed is that Kaylee didn't pay. Kaylee was being hounded. When I say being hounded, like Xana asked Kaylee for her portion of the bills. And Kaylee never responded. And Kaylee obviously didn't pay, because then the next thing that happens is it's like, okay, Maddie then does it. And it's, Maddie says, your CASA bills, whatever the heck the wording was. But it was like after Xana had done it. And I could just totally see Xana being like, dude, what the fuck? Like, maybe if you talk to her, you can get her to pay it, and it's like, okay. I then did my research, and that house, it wasn't each. Remember, I told you guys this house wasn't like, here, you pay the landlord $500, you pay $500, you pay $500. No, one person is paying, like it's under one lease, and then you're paying your roommate, and then they're paying it all. And the person that was doing that was Maddie. So I know that I would have a serious fucking problem if, hey, we have a house or 6 bedrooms. First of all, they didn't even have a 6th. Okay. So they didn't have a 6th. So then we're not in a 5. And now Kaylee's piecing out early. Why? And if she had moved out or was going to move out, and by her family's, everything that her family has said, she was moving, she had already basically moved out. And it's like, but all of her stuff was still there. Like, I'm talking like, were her pictures still up? Was she going to, here, I'm going to sell all my stuff to the person that's going to take on my room? Like basically Simpson did with Dylan. Because like when these people moved in, like Dylan gave Simpson's mom her deposit. Then Simpson gave Maddie. These people didn't do re-signings. That's not what happened. That's not what was happening. And that happens all the time in college. Because it's like you want to get your deposit back. So here, I'm going to get my deposit back this way. You're taking over my room. You're going to pay me my deposit and first month's rent. Okay. So that way it's like I got mine back from the landlord or whatever, and we don't have to have you re-signing. So boom, done. And that's what they did. And then people were in charge of different bills, you know, like you were, like that's a college thing. And then you put on like a whiteboard when people pay and blah, blah, blah. And then what people owe you. And then, you know, nowadays people would like write checks or give cash. Now it's like Venmo or that's what they were using. That's how I got all that information. Something happened, y'all. Something happened that forced. I talked that Jordan girl, the teacher. She was going to be living with Jordan and Kaylee. Were going to be living in Austin. That Jordan girl wasn't going until June. Didn't think that Kaylee was going until June. Was interviewed. It's one of my early episodes. You need to go back and check that out. And it was like Jordan didn't know that Kaylee was going supposedly in February after she went on her Europe trip, you know. Remember what Kaylee's dad said? They finally moved into the same place together. Right? Because remember, Kaylee got into and then she got into because she's legacy, whatever. And Maddie and all the other people, they, you know, went that way. And what I noticed over their college careers is that they were super ass close, tight. And then it was distant. But the reason I believe it was distant is because, hey, you're doing stuff with your sorority. I have to do stuff with my sorority. I don't know how it is. Do like sorority people all hang out together? I don't fucking know. But I could tell you could go back and you could look. I did an episode on it. And I said something. They had a falling out. Kaylee and Maddie had a falling out. Do you think Steve Jr. moved home with Kaylee? He went to a different school. Dave told me all about Steve Jr. He was up home way before Kaylee was. Kaylee also during COVID, if you go look at her social media, she is working up in Post Falls at these coffee places like Jitters and stuff like that. Like COVID changed everything for people that were in college then. It really sucked, you know? And so I think Kaylee spent a lot of time up at home. Kaylee spent a lot of time at her sister's one house that was in a very interesting location. And the people that lived on the opposite side of that house, it was like a 2-person house, duplex. And she'd be hanging out with her nieces and nephews. I mean, I'm telling you, Kaylee had a different type of a college. She wasn't on that campus, you know. She was doing other things. She was doing family stuff. She was doing a lot of other things. Do you guys know who got the dog? Who paid for the dog? Who wanted the dog? Was it a gift more so than like, this is our dog together? Think about it. Think about it. Lana, what do you think Backseat Bill should do moving forward? Hooey. That's a good question. I think he should try to cut Brian Colbert a deal. He should retire. I think he should fucking retire. Kaylee supposedly had started seeing someone recently according to several sources. I disagree. 100%. And I also don't think that Kaylee was trying to get back together with Jack. I think that that's not true. Like I told you, I'm going to go back and check out this episode because I've been working on something, and it's something that Steve said to me in an email. Yeah, Backseat Bill. I forgot. Have we ever seen the funny pic I made Lana of Backseat Bill? I don't know. I think I posted. Did I post that? I think Jack D's totally 100% innocent. Jack D 100% innocent. 150%. Just like I think Enon Harsh is 150% innocent. Oh, Lana, you know something we don't know then. Yes, I do. I think I do. I would move too if I was, I would move too. I'm telling you, that girl Jordan was so shocked. Yeah, we were going there in June. Oh, you didn't know that. So why would Kaylee sublet? Whoever wants to move like that, that sucks. And I don't know how people think that was going to happen. Like, you're going to take a puppy. That means you're working from home because you're not going to know anybody in Austin. So who's going to help you take care of your dog? And I never understood that, but I'll keep my opinions to myself on some of the stuff that I think. I think J-Dig was another girl. That's why he didn't answer. I don't think he wanted to hear what Kaylee had to say, actually. I would love to know what Maddie told Adam now with some new information that I'm working on. Tell us, Lana. Come on now. I'm going to go pull up my episode. I'm serious. Go look at it's like my Kaylee Maddie episode. Those of you guys that are members, I'm going to be doing it. A members only first, and then I'm going to do it out here because I want to make it short and sweet. It's going to be only like 30 minutes to the public. Lana, I value your opinions. Well, it's only because I was going back through my emails with Steve and with some of the stuff that I was working on with, what was the motive of this? Either it's a serial killer, right? That wanted to be a serial killer, whatever. Or, why do people, what the fuck? Are you going to write a book? Absolutely. Write a book? Oh, God. Why can't I just have somebody take all of my fucking work and edit it and make it into one of the most amazing? Can I just get an editor over here? Can I just get an editor? Come on, man. Who wants to make some shorts for me? Take all the good moments of when I'm screaming during the Karen Reed case. Oh my fucking God. I think it was Boston. Boston sent me the funniest. You guys want to see? Oh, Boston, I don't want to show it because the clip that you sent me has personal stuff on it. I was dying at the clip that Boston took of me during the Karen Reed case the other day. I'm like, yeah, these people probably think I'm crazy, but I don't care. It's better than being bored. Lana, LOL, Lana, pay me 6 figures and I'm your woman. To make what? To make shorts? Send me some shorts. So All right, this is gonna be a wrap. God, 3 hours and 20 minutes. Well, hey, it's all there's a bunch of bombs in here, but I think if Brian Kober is guilty, guys, it's gonna be a travesty. But I can tell you this: I know that they railroaded him. Now, whether he's guilty or not, I don't know that. I don't have the evidence, but I know that he was railroaded. Those two, he was 100% railroaded. And you have to ask yourself, what the fuck are you doing? Like, why? Why would you do that? Night, night, Lana. Night, 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 night. Over 1,000 people watching for the 3 hours. Way to go, Lana. Yeah, probably everyone's asleep. They're like, oh, I just fell asleep to Lana talking, and I just woke up. So I'm just going to ring your bell. Exactly, Lana. Said exactly what. Oh, missed it. Damn it. Nothing like a great Friday night date with Lana. I know, GH. You remind me of the episode. Or, I mean, General Hospital. That's what I used to call General GH. I heard that LOL. I am making your shorts. Kicking butt. Oh, perfect. I need some shorts. I got all this content, man. Come on now. I was like, help the people that can't watch. Like, just take my bangs and just JD and DM in a secret relationship. What the fuck? Guys, I hear more shit about Dylan Mortensen. Poor Dylan. Poor Dylan. Whatever Bethany have, it's exculpatory. I think she's gonna say that her and Dylan were just fucking high and drunk and they have no idea what time coming and going. Oh no, please not the cowbell. Don't worry, I'm not gonna blow it this late. All right, thank you guys again for being here. Hit the thumbs up on your way out. I don't believe anybody was pregnant, but there was rumors about people being pregnant. Wait, what? Contact me if I'm wrong. Was there a rumor? Oh yeah, I think Olivia's had a couple kids now. Is Xana's mom out of prison, jail, whatever the fuck? I need to talk to her about something. Oh, I want to chat more. Many talents here too. All right, guys, take care. I'm out. Over and out. Run this on 5 times speed.
In trouble.
You're going to be in trouble. It's November 29th. 4 people that were murdered, and you want to fuck around. You got 8 families that are being affected by this, and they just mean nobody from the universe.
Shock value. And so what he did was he had taken pictures of California.
Oh, you're from I would be outraged if I lived in Moscow right now. I'd be lighting some cars on fire out there. I'd be flipping some cars. I'd get the frats going wild with me. Let's get some noise complaints going.